normal. Like, that's just a normal picture of Shad that's put up there.
Yes,
and I get the Corliss Velaryon.
Yeah, because
I'm already in medieval outfit. They don't need to change anything.
No, Perry, because Perry loves you the most, Ryan. Welcome, everybody. We just finished watching a 72-minute long, which is, you think about it, it's inverted from The Acolyte, which was 27 minutes. This was 72 minutes. What was the name of this episode? I didn't even catch that.
To be honest, do you know we're still like covered?
Yeah,
I know.
Okay, all right. I was just making sure.
I'm gonna uncover it.
I have to ask you specifically. Like,
I know you should.
I don't
what was the
remember
name
what
of
this
the
episode was
episode?
called.
They usually put it up like right when it airs. So
here, have to go.
Yeah, because I have to change the title. But what's up? I was actually enjoying Ryan's picture, guys. Hi, chat. How are you? Welcome to Nerdrotic. This is the House of the Dragon after show. My name is Gary. I'm here with MauLer. What's up,
Hello.
You know, I'm looking at it right now. It just says episode 2. It doesn't say the title. No title that's a glitch when they uploaded it.
IMDb's probably got it right.
This happened with Game of Thrones a lot.
Yeah.
So, because they got like, they were worried that the titles would spoil something. It was a weird explanation, but it came from Dan and Dave.
Well, I mean, a son for a son spoils the first episode.
I agree.
It can just be a quote, you know, or an intention, right? In fact, it was an intention. It ended up as something a little different, you know, kind of.
If you were to name this episode, what would you call it?
A mixed bag.
What's the? They wrote a song. They wrote a song.
Eric versus Eric. Yes, they did.
They wrote a song in Westeros about this. So what? I forget what the title of that song is, but like, I don't know, Brothers Kiss of Death or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If I was cringe, I'd call it Double Trouble.
Double Trouble. Yeah.
But that is gay. So
you know, we came off last week where for book readers it was a little bit disappointing what we saw with Blood and Cheese, but this episode,
farewell, my brother.
Farewell,
my brother. So
there it is.
That's it.
That is the name. That is the name. Actually, that's the name of the one that it was. Yeah.
Yes.
So there it is.
Yeah.
But for this one, knowing I didn't know that we were going to get to this episode until you saw Kristen Cole approach him and start bitching about his dirty cloth. Which, if that's not some dude talking about himself, I don't know what it is.
Right. Guy's such a hypocrite.
It wasn't until that point where I realized, oh shit, we're gonna get that this episode, and it was even, to be honest, it was more sad than I fucking thought it was gonna be with that ending. But
yeah, because I thought they were gonna get to something that they're obviously gonna get to next when Harrenhal. Like I thought that's where they would end this one, especially how long it was. But we got a lot of minutia, you know what I mean? Like it certainly explains some stuff from the book in between some motivations, but I thought it just kind of moved a little slow for me, a little bit. There's
a little bit,
as MauLer said, it's a mixed bag. There's some stuff I liked, and there was some stuff I was like, what? And well, we'll get into that in a second, but go ahead, Rob.
Yeah,
we got a lot of Otto and Aegon and Kristen, and we knew obviously that wasn't going to last with how impatient Aegon was being, and this was like the one thing that put him over the edge for, all right, time for a change in the old hierarchy here at King's Landing. And it's interesting because there are two characters who in the book you kind of aren't sure exactly what they're up to for a period of time, but they're characters we really love from the show. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with them off book. But with characters like Otto, characters like Daemon, we'll see.
In terms of it getting a bit slow, I kind of agree. After maybe the first third or so, there are some scenes that did come in with new characters that you weren't really, too invested in because they're being introduced. But I tell you what, for me, it was just, at the races at the beginning, especially with Aegon's rage and him just totally losing it. I felt that. I felt like I was just totally hooked in with so many of those early scenes. And then I felt it finish pretty darn strong as well. And so I quite liked it.
I loved this sequence when Rhaenyra's like, wait, they think I did this? Well, this is bullshit. I'm like, obviously I didn't do this. And like everybody just very slowly starts looking at Damon.
And he's almost trying to hide a grin. I couldn't tell if it was a grin or not, but it was also like yeah, that was me.
Like, yeah, this guy's been like relatively quiet. Usually he's always saying all this shit. He's not saying anything. Like Rhaenys is the first one to look at him and sees him and like obviously knows what's going on. Yeah.
He's all, what?
It's so funny.
Why would you think it was me?
That's what this show has been doing so well. They did it really well in season 1, and it's great to see that they're doing this in season 2. And it's just that non-verbal storytelling where they can convey things without characters needing to spell it out, which is like a slap in the face contrast to Acolyte, where they're spelling out everything. But even when, is it Aemon? He goes into his room and he sees the open door and is looking, he doesn't say a word, but it's so clear that he's figuring out, oh, they were after me.
Yeah.
And they convey it without him saying a single word. It was just beautifully done. And that scene with Daemon as well, just showing, not telling, brilliantly done, and good storytelling. It's a refreshing thing to have that again.
Yes. Well, again, and not saying anything, just letting the audience figure it out, because we're adults. Well, most of us. MauLer, what'd you think?
I was just sort of preparing my. I'm probably going to be the more negative one with this one. I thought so I don't know if we talked about it. I would have last season, but my hierarchy for favorites of season 1, like the series, just cleared. He was number 1 easily, and then underneath him were Otto and Daemon. They're like my favorite characters to watch unfold in this world. Otto is secure in number 1. He was MVP for this episode. He was fucking great. Not just. I enjoy the character so much because I rewatched season 1, of course, ahead of time. And something I really feel is a very strong characteristic of him that came out this episode and fucked him over is that, unlike Tywin, he's got a serious flaw in understanding when and where to say certain things. He has like immense regrets on making certain moves, and I think they did a really good job of this in episode, I want to say 4 in season 1, where if you remember, before he tells Viserys about what Rhaenyra has been up to, they have a full scene just committed to him just looking up at the ceiling and thinking for a while. And I think in retrospect he probably believes he may have chosen wrong, or rather worded it wrong. He's always made mistakes. If you watch over his scenes, he's not fantastic at leveraging his intimidation or his intelligence all the time. It's pretty good though. And it just feels like in this scene, he was so fucking annoyed at Aegon's really dumbass decision, has the perfect argument to explain it, and then realizes like, I can't even express myself in any way, shape, or form without just getting in trouble. But fuck you. I think I've got the standing, the position, and the argument to finally just let loose and call you a fucking idiot. And then he's like, you're fired. He's like, oh shit.
I'm a little conflicted about that, because I would expect him to have the foresight to know that if he, is that blunt to Aegon, he could get fired. He's been fired before. It just
I think he underestimated Aegon's sort of wrath and sort of. He doesn't know that Larys has been pouring honey in his ear, so to speak. He doesn't know. I don't think he expected this, and I genuinely think it's something they've established. It's a weakness on Otto's part. He makes these mistakes consistently.
Well, Kristen Cole certainly wasn't expecting to get
but
not something that he in the moment thought was going to happen at all.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that either. That's one of the things I really enjoyed about this show, is that I can't predict where it's going to go. There's so many kind of left turns, but then they make sense when it happens. And so I'm just really enjoying that. And just on MauLer's point, you're right that he didn't expect it, because when Aegon says, you're not, well, paraphrasing, not hand, his response was, you wouldn't dare. Like, it was so out of left field. He just wasn't expecting it.
Well, remember, because I see all of this as a mirror / an echo, however which way you want to view it, for timeline of Game of Thrones. We saw this scene with Tywin and Joffrey. Tywin wins. He dominates. He has everybody in the room down to him. And to me, that's just a really interesting reflection of how the tweaks of these characters, their positions, their power, their values, we have different results. This one, Otto played too far forward, and I think he thought that this would be a sort of like, I know exactly how to deal with this. I know exactly how you've gone wrong. and I've done nothing but give you good advice. You fucked up. And he's like, yeah, you can just go. That's not at all what he expected. You wouldn't be able to get away with that with Tywin. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah, the thing is, like, Otto's not quite Tywin, and Aegon's not quite Joffrey either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One, I think he's older, right? He's actually of age to the point where he doesn't, like, because Joffrey wasn't old enough to technically be king without like a protector of the realm. You know what I mean? So, but Aegon is
A regent. Yeah.
without a regent. But Aegon is, so he can make that decision, and there's really nobody that can stop him. And Otto and Alicent have been doing this back and forth, sometimes working against each other, but all in an effort to try to control, Alicent's children. And it hasn't gone very well so far.
No,
not really.
Felt like we got more range from Otto's sort of character this episode than we ever have, and I think Reese fans nailed it. Can't wait to see more of him.
Well, so it was very different from the book. In the book, Aegon just gets pissed off that Otto's just writing letters and pretty much preaching patience and he's working some deals on the side. They didn't show that. I think they showed a little. I think they insinuated it because it will matter. But I thought this was done better than what they did in the book. His dismissal and getting giving Rise OnlyFans his shining moment.
Yeah, in the book, basically, Aegon just gets tired of inaction. Now, I love that line, or what he said, it's time to spill blood, not ink, or something.
Yeah.
Whatever that line was, that caught me, which is great.
That's in the book. That's actually
in the book. Yeah. And then there's another line that he delivered. My next hand will be a steel fist.
Yep.
With Kristen Cole.
Dude, it's so fucking funny to have Kristen Cole have two of the highest ranks in the realm completely undeserved. Like, and he knows it too. He's just sitting there being like, how is this fucking happening?
But I mean, it also makes sense because he clearly wasn't trying to become, the hand or push his political standing when he was sending the twin off to assassinate. He was just feeling guilty as hell for not being on post and kind of lashing out.
If he gets Rhaenyra killed, that would recover somewhat his standing, his feelings about everything.
And then it just so happened that it worked out.
Like, they did kind of answer some of those questions that we asked at the end of episode 1 in terms of, like, why isn't there somebody there? Why isn't there someone outside the door? Eric even asked, why didn't Queen Helena upon ascension get a sworn protector? Where were you, Sir Kristen? Like, clearly Kristen Cole was supposed to be watching.
Yeah.
And they set that up pretty well, I think. And we had a lot of questions about that after. Why was there nobody at the door? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. So
I was questioning that a lot. That was probably my biggest criticism in episode 1. I'm not sure it answers it. I'm glad they addressed it. I'm glad they did something, but I'm not sure it justifies how.
Well, one could call that lampshading. The fact that they're highlighting it, but they've really not done much to explain it to me. I've seen a lot of people say, like, don't you get it? He was doing shit with Alicent. It's like, yeah, I know.
No, but there should have been more.
He's surely smart enough to, account for that. That's
easy way.
A semi-regular thing that they're doing,
Yes, an easy way to explain that, and it's kind of explained in the book, is that you didn't trust all the household staff after the ascension. There's still some.
But they did explain that in the first episode. With Laris, who he just imprisoned and killed a bunch of normal household staff.
So that would tell me that they're probably shorthanded. Still hiring people, still vetting, going through HR, whatever they have to do. But it still leaves it kind of open, and it feels like there was something missing, and especially in a super, in a long episode like that. But after. That big model of Valeria, we find out what happens to her. Like, what happened to that thing? Well, Aegon beats the shit out of it.
So mean.
I know.
Didn't do anything.
He just doesn't give a shit about his father. To be fair, his father didn't give two shits about him. So, might as well tear down his legacy too.
No. So they and MauLer. So it is confirmed he is not in this at all, which creates kind of a problem. They might be able to deal with it later, but And
It has to be intentional. They must have something sorted out for that because that's
they
a weird
they
oversight.
probably do. They probably do, but
It's not the first time they've done this sort of thing. They'll,
No.
if a character is missing or a new character exists, we have to just sort of see what they do, and then we can judge it.
well, Dan and Dave were fucking retarded with that. Okay, let's just be real. Lady Stoneheart, anyone? But this one, it's a question of succession, basically, because he still had an heir. Now he does not have an heir.
Yes, he doesn't have a firstborn son, which I obviously one of the things that's going to be more at play in this is Helena. We know like so little about Helena from the book, right? But you even got a little more of her in this one. One thing I think is interesting, I'm pretty sure that shawl that she had is the same thing she was sewing in the first episode. So she was sewing the funeral shawl for her child at the beginning, the opening of the first episode last week. Which pretty fucked up.
Yes. Well, she's a dreamer, so maybe she can't communicate it, but that is messed up. Now, could she still have the baby? Could she be pregnant now? Maybe. Sure. I guess that they could do it that way. But they
compressed this entire thing from 30 years down to 20 years, basically. And I heard Ryan Condal talk a little bit about it because there's other ages that don't quite match up in the book. Yeah. You saw in the middle of this episode, Rhaenyra's kids with Daemon, Aegon, and Viserys, they're very little. They're very little compared to how old they are in the book. In the book, they're probably, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that realm, as opposed to like toddlers, basically.
Yep. Which made the funeral
things going forward too.
Yeah, they did. The ages are messed up. So Otto decides to, and I was wondering how they were going to undo this, by the way, and they did it within the episode. So Otto decides that they need to have a funeral procession. They need to sew
that was crazy
on his body. Holy crap. And ride him through the town. And it's like, think about it. It's actually a smart move. You get the sympathy of the small folk. You have the two women out there. You have Helena and Alicent. Aegon is not part of the funeral at all because he was going to be busy doing some other stuff. So this part that was like I was like, okay, that makes sense.
And I just there are some great lines setting that up when, Aegon says, I will not have my little son's body dragged through the streets as a dead dog. It's like, oh, that's, that hit hard. And then Otto's line where it says that a sorrow best seen expressed through its most gentle souls and stuff. It's just, man, there's good wordplay and stuff. And I think that's from the books, I'm guessing, because it's just some good.
Some of it is, but a lot of it is just them.
Really?
Like, there's some lines that do stand out that are like clearly pulled straight from the books, and even Aemon "Words Are Wind" is line from last season or from last episode. But a lot of it is just them writing this shit, and they've been really good, especially writing Otto and some of Daemon's lines and stuff like that.
Do you reckon that's George's influence, or do they just have a really good writing group? Like, because there's some good.
George is there, but I mean. There are very few lines of dialogue in the book, and I'm sure they're going to use pretty much all of them because I mean, George is pretty good at dialogue. He's pretty fucking good.
They used the rat catchers, line. The rat catcher or Mushroom in the book. Mushroom says the rat catcher knew the hidden passageways like the curve of his own cock.
Yes,
and then so they had the rat catcher in the first episode say that line, which is great.
Kind of bummed they didn't put Mushroom in, but I understand what they didn't want to have another Tyrion, basically.
Yeah, heaven forbid you have other characters that feel like other characters.
I know.
So would that have distracted from the general tone of House of the Dragon, where is this kind of more serious political intrigue thing, having this guy mouthing off, making jokes and everything? They probably could make it work. I'm wondering if that's why they.
It was a court jester, so like he could just do that.
Yeah, I feel like they can make that work for sure.
I think they can make it work. It would have been it would have been easy. But so they have the funeral. They do the procession. The cart gets stuck And I was waiting for the body to fall off. It didn't.
I was like cringing,
Ugh.
like, are you gonna have their head roll off and make the mother freak out?
By the way,
Just-
the guy who got caught, I was just thinking, imagine trying to escape the Red Keep with a sack with the fucking prince's head inside it, and someone goes, "Hey, stop! Who are you?" And you're like, "Oh shit!"
He immediately gave Damon up to, like, not even a thought, not even a question.
Just the sight of the torturing things in his like just lets it all out.
And that poor dog, dude. That dog that got kicked in the ribs was still sad that his master was dead when they handled the rat catcher.
No, that would happen.
Dogs
Sad.
are loyal.
Dogs are too good for this world.
They are. Well, especially Westeros. Where they end up, that dog will end up being food by the end of the night, by the way.
That's exactly what somebody else told me. Yeah,
What, X-Ray Girl?
pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we have this funeral procession, and Helena kind of freaks out. You know, she doesn't like crowds. She didn't want to be there anyway. Then it goes to Rhaenyra, and she finds this out. And what you mentioned earlier, she's shocked that they think it's her. And they even mentioned, by the way, when Otto's talking about the funeral procession, it's like, doesn't really matter. Like, we do need to find out if somebody else is here, if there's people who betray us here. And it could have been another house, but we're still going to blame Rhaenyra. We still have to blame Rhaenyra.
Just great leverage.
Yep.
And that, like, again, this sequence shows one of the big differences between the Greens and the Blacks in general. But Otto's been willing to use his family forever. He's willing to use Alicent to manipulate Viserys. There was even rumors that he was using Alicent to manipulate old King Jaehaerys in the book, even before Viserys. But he does not give a shit. Like, he kind of resents a lot of his family. He hates a lot of his family. He loves the fact that Aemon's got a dragon. Doesn't give a shit that he got his eye torn out. Right? He'll use Alicent when it's convenient for him. That's the Greens. They all kind of fucking hate each other.
Yep.
And the Blacks have their own dysfunction for sure, but there seems to be a lot more genuine family feel for the Blacks, whereas the Greens are just scheming piles of shit.
Yep.
Not steaming, scheming.
Scheming.
Yes.
Who's the nicest Green?
Helena.
Probably.
Yeah.
She's just a sweet little autistic girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Who's the nicest dude?
Living.
Living.
Laura Strong.
No.
What?
The nicest dude. I mean, we found out that Aemon likes to curl up like a little skeleton next to old women. So,
Yeah.
like, that's probably a foreshadowing of somebody else he might get involved with later in this series.
Yep. So I will meet that person next
Oh,
week.
someone said Daeron. Yes, Daeron Targaryen is the nicest Green.
It's probably the nicest Green. Yeah, that's who we haven't met, but they mentioned finally
Yeah, that's their brother, isn't it? The other.
the one that's with the High Towers, Foster with the High Towers. So I want to ask MauLer about this. So we have the interaction between Daemon and Rhaenyra after she finds out that he did it, and he's just like, it was a mistake, you know. I wanted to go after
So that
Daemon.
that is a really curious way to end his side of the conversation. Is it a mistake that they killed the wrong person, or was it just all a mistake? I wonder what exactly he's referring to.
I don't think they want to answer that question.
No, I don't think so.
I think they're definitely leaving it open to interpretation, whether we believe Daemon's side of the story, that he just wanted them to get Aemond and that's it. The way they ended episode 1 and cut to black, what if we can't find him? I feel like the show is implying he said, well, if you can't find him, at least get a son or something like that. And he's lying about that. That's the vibe I get, at least.
Yeah, I don't know. The Daemon I mean, this is a different Daemon, but the one in the book, I would just see not giving a fuck. Not giving a fuck about killing a kid.
It seems to me like the show is unsure of exactly what they want us to think of Daemon right now. He's a bit torn, which he has been throughout the show. season 1, he's very much torn between oftentimes two bigger decisions, two loyalties, that sort of thing. So I'm certainly still very interested in him. It looks like in the next time on, he's going to be at Harrenhal. Is that what I'm seeing?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, just on that scene between him and Rhaenyra, I loved it. Like, I thought they finally got to speak openly about some of the underlying tension in their relationship. It shows the writers are paying attention to what was implied and set up previously, and added conflict as well. And like, it was such a good setup because when Daemon gets pushed, they show that he's really ready. Capable of anything. He's one of those.
He was going to choke her
chaos.
again.
Yeah, exactly. And he was on the fence. He was ready. He pulled back and stuff. And so when he was leaving, I was just like, yeah, hell yeah. I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm expecting it to be something Daemon, something awesome.
I feel like he's got to earn back a bit of trust, and that's probably, I think they're trying to play with the audience somewhat on this one in terms of like, he's a loose cannon. What's he going to do next? But I think it'll turn out he's going to do something really useful for Rhaenyra.
Well, that's what when he's pushed to that level, like we saw when he was fighting the Crab King, and his brother offered aid, and he just snaps and is like, "Stuff it! I'm gonna do something to correct the course." That was the impression here, and I was just like, "That's."
Well, again, feels like properly built character because the one time he did attack her, so to speak, is when she started talking about things that he thinks are probably the worst thing to focus on possible. Like, don't be fucking insane. Don't talk about myths and legends and the future dreams. Focus on, like, right now. And I love that scene, by the way, because the fact that she says, Viserys never told you, which it's probably the biggest insult Viserys could levy at Daemon without even being alive. That he didn't think he was worth telling.
That was the best way to hurt him in that moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even in this scene where Daemon's like, he's trying to say his brother was afraid of me. And then she says, no, he didn't trust you. And it's just like, it was good. Like I said, these are well-rounded characters.
That hit him too. That totally hit him.
And both of them have points. Like, Daemon is 100% right about how soft as shit Viserys was and how his unwillingness to make decisions that might, make people feel a little bit weird in the moment, but would be better for the realm in the long term. His reluctance to do that and just want everybody to love him is what made Viserys a weak king. Like that's ultimately what we saw. Like, Daemon is 100% right.
You could argue he's kind of the opposite kind of character to people like Otto or Tywin, where they make loads of these really, in a moment's notice, small, quick, horrifying decisions. But then you realize down the line they've prevented a war. Meanwhile, Viserys does all these quick, nice decisions in the moment. Like, yeah, let's spare you. Let's have fun here. Let's do this. It's like, and now where are we? It's a complete fucking disaster.
On the precipice of a pretty bloody civil war. So,
and you can tell, like, in that scene in season 1 when Viserys is sitting there getting all his wounds looked at, and he asks Lionel Strong, and he's like, "How will I be remembered?" Right?
Yeah.
Because it's important to note that Viserys took over for King Jaehaerys, who had this like incredible reign, like decades and decades worth of peace and prosperity. Obviously not just peace. There was, some uprisings, some things like that. But for the most part, the realm got a lot better under Jaehaerys's reign. And he had to follow that up after all of Jaehaerys's kids end up dying. Well, except the one who's a maester, whatever. And so there's like a lot of pressure on him to continue that. He didn't want war to break out. He didn't want all these things to happen. He just wants to be remembered as the guy who continued on that legacy. And his reluctance to do things that might make him appear anything less than that is what fucking led to him where he was. He let himself get manipulated by Otto and all these other people around him.
Dude, I loved hearing Otto say how much he missed Viserys. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But it was also only because Viserys always listened to Otto, and he was missing the fact that he couldn't manipulate the king anymore. And he's just like,
I agree that the angle is like, I could do anything I want with him, but it did seem like he genuinely was expressing some traits of Viserys
I agree.
that were admirable.
Yeah, there was that.
In Otto's mind, he is doing what's right for the realm. I think that's how they've really framed this character. He's fucking wrong. He makes mistakes, but in his mind, he thought, no, a dude needs to sit on the throne. And he's not wrong, by the way. If a woman sits the throne in this world, it would cause, there would be all kinds of shit going on. So shit would have gone down anyway. Probably not this bad, having Targaryens go at each other with dragons, but it still would have gone down. He wasn't wrong about this world, about like what the rules have been set up for this world. So I like the fact that you got a guy like, yeah, he's a manipulative bastard, but he also thought he was right, and that helps. He doesn't think, but he still questions himself a little bit. He's no Tywin. Tywin thinks he's fucking right about it.
Oh yeah,
and knows it, just fucking knows it. Otto's, like you said earlier, Otto like will fuck up, and then and oh shit, but he still thinks, he even mentions it in this episode, like all his children are fucking retarded. He's not wrong.
Like Otto, I think, also has another side where he is actually very vindictive and spiteful. A lot of the early counsel he gave Viserys was purely to spite Daemon.
Oh yeah,
and that like led to some really serious issues.
Not sure I
he
agree with
hated
that.
Daemon.
I don't think it was
completely
necessarily
agree with that, but
I don't know if it's purely to
he's just-
spite Daemon, or if he thought it was such a threat, like that Daemon really was just that bad for things.
So you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but my impression from season 1, especially on a rewatch, was it was a grand plan from Otto to place and suggest to put Daemon in all these positions to show his failures and then convince the king to boot him. Because Otto believed that Daemon was really bad for the realm.
He thought he was Maegor the Cruel.
Yeah, he makes it very clear. He thinks he's like a monster, and so gives him Master of Coin and lets him fail at that because he knows he will. Gives him the City Watch, knows he'll fail at that, and then the moment
he didn't.
that's the thing, right? It's interpretation, because he still has the scene where he says you mangled and maimed like so many people. It's disgusting and horrible. If you remember Viserys, it's like, hey, it's good to have justice, good to blah, 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 but don't do that again. Like, it's just, and Otto's like, fuck, because he wants to get rid of Daemon no matter what, right? And then when the heir doesn't make it through birth, Otto immediately is like, we need to talk about succession, and it cannot be Daemon. It cannot be fucking Daemon.
See, I kind of see it as a matter of escalation, because I can go with you to a point where he honestly thinks Daemon is bad for the throne, but I feel that there is some personal spite put in there, especially when Daemon kind of mangles his son's face in the tourney, and when Otto lies about what Viserys believed, because when Otto went to speak with Daemon, when Daemon took Dragonstone, and he lies that the king would never be seen as a mother's like, and so I think it's a bit of both, but I genuinely feel there's some personal spite he had against Daemon, which was not always good for the realm. That guided
complex.
his.
These are complex.
Yeah. Well, that's what's good about it. Yes, is he can have these discussions.
Yeah, and
that there's that.
Otto's assumption of his characteristics in that vein led to them being true in a sense, because Daemon was ready to become. He wanted to be Viserys' hand, right? He wanted to help him. He wanted to support him, make him a strong king, but believed that Viserys always kept him at arm's length. And it's like, yeah, he probably did, thanks to Otto, believing that you'd be a mess in any way, shape, or form related to any form of power. And then tries, I believe, to prove it by giving him these roles and watching him fail and sort of explain how he's failing. But I agree with you. He definitely hates him as well.
Yeah. And let's be real. We like Daemon. He'd be a fucking terrible king.
Yeah.
Horrible king.
Well,
I think that
I'm not sure.
He would be
I'm
terrible.
not sure. I'm not sure, honestly.
I think they've shown us enough to where he would not be.
I don't think he would be a good king. I would like to.
He wouldn't be very merciful.
It would be fun to watch. It would be fun to watch, but
he wouldn't be very merciful. But he would be so decisive that I think he would command obedience and respect. And I actually think there is a side to Daemon where he is a little more reasonable and level-headed, like when he would tutor his own daughters when he was away from Westeros and stuff like that. He has this gentle side to him, and we've seen sides of loyalty from him as well, and stuff like that. I think there's aspects.
I think he's nicer to the small folk than anybody else, but he'd also pick the triarchy or something and get them all killed. So
see, because I think he might have made it somewhat, tolerable king, let me just say.
There may be a role for him that he could make very good use of. Who knows? Maybe he would have made an interesting hand, but I don't know about king.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't be Maegor the Cruel, but yeah,
When I look at Otto, I look at somebody who is gaslit themselves into believing that they truly are doing what's right for the realm at all times. However, about 20% of his decisions end up like with his own self-interest, convincing himself that even though my interest and the realms are aligned, I'm going to do this. For instance, like pushing Alicent on Viserys, not a decision that was good for the realm. There was a million other options he had to
Politically,
close ties
yes.
with other families or strengthen the position of the family. A million other things he could have done.
That
rather
could be
than
argued. Yeah, I agree. That could be argued that's the worst decision for the realm, and well, it was. So
yeah, it put this divide between himself and Corlys.
Yep.
You know, when they could have joined that with Lena. As weird as that scene was, seeing the 7-year-old Lena Velaryon walking out there with old man Viserys, should have done that.
It's like Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she ended up being pretty hardcore as well. She probably would have made a pretty serious queen at the end of the day as well if that union went forward. Because
yeah, you would have had Corlys Velaryon on your side.
Otto just didn't want black people on the throne. That's really what it was all about.
Yeah.
Speaking of black people, we saw a little scene of Alan and Adam of Hull. You had two very like for people that are not book readers, you probably thought there were two scenes that were completely out of fucking left field this episode.
They felt disconnected, and that's where I felt it started to drag a bit.
Yes. So you had Hugh, the blacksmith, who came and talked to Aegon. You had a little bit of scene with him, kind of hearing about how bad things have been for the small folk, how rough things are getting out there under the current leadership and with the current war that might, break out. And then you get immediately you go back to the docks and you see Adam and Alan of Hull having kind of discussions.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's not elegant.
It's not, no.
We'll say, because anybody with half a brain would be like, this feels like it has zero relevance, but obviously it will.
Yes.
So you're sort of listening out of obligation. You're like, I have no idea who these people are, why I should care, but I guess I should pay attention because it's going to come up.
It is going to be important later, yes. And we even saw a scene a little bit later with Adam of Hull. I'm calling him Adam of Hull right now. But with Adam of Hull, there was just seemed to be a dragon that was circling him. That was strange. I wonder what dragon that could have been. He looked very gray.
Like smoke?
Like smoke. He was by the sea. I don't know.
By the sea?
Well, that was my assumption. Like, is it Corlys Velaryon? Is that his dragon?
So you guys are aware there's like 3 wild dragons.
I was going to say, I can answer this from someone who hasn't read any book stuff. Sea Smoke was Laenor's, right?
Yep.
And he disappeared, separated from the dragon.
Sorry,
the dragon has
Corlys.
no rider.
Yeah, I was getting the gay husband that supposedly died. I assume that was his dragon.
So that's his dragon. Okay. And then there's other dragons that are wild. That are still, it's Dragonstone. There's still dragons around, and there's other dragons.
Some that are wild, or some that are just haven't had a rider in a while.
Rider in a while, or wild. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Like old Vermithor. Vermithor is the massive dragon that the old king used to ride.
Yep.
Who Damon was singing to.
That was a cool scene, man.
That was really cool.
But yeah, that Adam and Alan scene, I don't know if it needed to be there like right now. I think you could have saved that.
The way you have to do scenes like that is almost how they did it in episode 1, where you take a character we do know and information we do need in a scene, and you plop them in just as a side thing. So we're like, oh yeah, I got, whatever from Rhaenys and blah, blah, blah in this scene I get. And then it's like, those two just talked as well. And they said something, whoever they are, maybe they'll come up. I don't know. Instead of it being fully focused on them, we're like, okay, who the fuck are these people?
Yeah, I think it stood out as more of a contrast because so far, all the other scenes have been so efficiently important. Like nothing has been on screen that was a waste. And then because we don't know the context of this, you're just wondering, it's clear because yes, they're setting something up, but still because you didn't have that context in the given scene, it just stood out more and made it slow down a bit.
What did you guys think of the Aemon scene?
With him curled in the woman who took his virginity's lap being comforted.
And showing regret for Viserys.
Well, I guess if I can go first, I feel like that scene basically told us a whole bunch of things we already knew previously from subtler implications. Watching, the finale of season 1 is so it's just so fucking good. Aemon's expressions, everything he says, the dragon's interactions. I didn't need a scene where he told me it was a mistake and he felt bad about it. I don't need that at all.
I
it was
didn't
really
need
weird
it.
to get that so explicitly.
I didn't need it with her. I would have really liked to see how he portrayed it to his family.
Well, yeah, because like the
but-
benefit we
yeah.
get of this scene, as opposed to just that information, is it shows us he's willing to be open and honest with this woman, which is curious. She was in season 1, I think. We saw her briefly.
She was the one who was like, "You've grown up" or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where Aegon took him there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I felt about that scene. Better be able to judge it from my perception of Aemon as a character once the season's done, I guess.
You never forget your first, you know.
I wonder what they'll use it for. At the moment, like without any given future context, it felt like, I don't know, like they just wanted to make the character weaker. Like he can't be too badass all the time. So let's make this one where he's a bit of a sop. And I'm not sure that built his character, made me more interested in his character as a result.
So my assumption is it's tied to how shit of a mother Alicent has been. And they do back that up again in this episode as well.
Absolutely.
Her children are a mess, and they're all looking for other things and other places. Like Aegon, you could argue he has rage as his outlet. Aemond apparently looks for, I guess, solace and peace in the sense of exploring like his decisions, not with his mother, but with, I don't even know the name of the person who's Lady something or Miss something. I can't remember. It was in the subtitles. Point being, I get this. Yeah, there's some value to the scene for that, of course. I really wish it wasn't so bluntly explicit.
On the nose.
I feel bad. It was a mistake. It's like,
yeah, it's like Aemon needs a mommy, basically. And I thought it was, I guess to skip forward a little bit, when right after Alicent and Otto have their discussion, after Otto gets relieved his hand, and she walks in and Aegon's just breaking down, crying.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% thought we were going to see a scene where Alicent comforts him.
She
walks away to go get fucked by Kristen Cole. Alicent is such a massive piece of shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah.
She is.
There's
there's
a good reading on it. Sorry, Gary. I was just, I'll let you go.
No, I was going to say, and earlier, I'm on this scene right now. It's just a little scene, right? It's Kristen Cole watching the kid's bedroom just get packed up. And he looks like sad. Like this is like a human. Kristen Cole's a massive motherfucker. Okay, but it still showed this like human moment for him. Like
literally, Gary, literally.
Yes,
literally, he is a
very
mother.
True. The whole scene is to justify the actions he makes in the scene later. Is to tell us exactly what's going on, and that's the kind of storytelling I much prefer. Just watching him. I didn't need a scene of him saying, "I feel guilty and I feel I have soiled the loyalty of this position." Blah blah blah. It's like, I way prefer just watching them pull down the bed. Of course,
they pull down the bed, and that directly. Go on, Ryan.
You see his guilt in that moment as they're taking that stuff down, and then he immediately goes to Sir Eric and projects all of the guilt he feels directly onto him.
It sets it up perfectly. Yeah. Like you see where his headspace was right before he goes and acts like a complete asshole to Sir Eric, and takes it all out on him.
Mm-hmm.
Takes it all out and sets up something that'll make things so much worse. and that's what George does. Like he sets up things, then shit goes sideways. In some way, it goes sideways.
It's like dominoes, right?
Yes.
As well.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something small and bigger until it's huge.
I was wondering where they were going with that scene with Cole and the twin guy, because at first I was thinking, all right, is he just being an asshole, basically? Is he projecting his crap? But then the fact that it was setting up, honestly, something that made perfect logical sense. You've got a twin in the enemy's fortress. You can get in there easy. I got a job for you. And it helped contextualize all of that, front loading of the trying to shift blame onto him, because if he could make the twin guy feel guilty, that would then
a good plan
more incentive
if they followed it from the book. And I don't want to get too far ahead. I thought the scene was still really good, right? What they were setting up. So it's supposed to be this big foreshadowing of what the Targaryen Civil War is, that their little battle. That's all it's supposed to be. Like, so it was just one little tale that was told in Fire and Blood, and there's a song for it. And there's I love Mushroom's account of the fight, which is like they all just cursed each other and called him. One guy ended up dying for 4 hours or 4 days from a gut wound, and they hated each other's guts. And
yeah, they were cursing each other until they died.
Until they died. But they did it different, which is fine.
Now, I think that I think they're gonna reveal that Mysaria is the one that alerted everyone, right? Like that's definitely the way they're going with that.
What they were, implying.
MauLer, what did you say at that time when we were totally not watching this together?
If we roll this back a little bit,
Roll it back.
Rhaenyra's thinking about what to do with the white worm. And from my POV, if I were her hand, I would say, okay, I know you don't like killing people, especially when they're super chill and nice and everything. But your little decisions doing these stupid, nice things have been costing us recently. And the White Worm made a career out of betraying you and your confidence, essentially. And now she's done it again. It's just destroyed your position with a lot of people. And you're what? Gonna let her go free? Oh, you'll send her to Pentos or whatever. It's like, yeah, she won't ever get back to anyone that could deal any damage to you. With any information she has now gained by being in your HQ, I'd be like, listen, I know you don't like it. You should probably kill her. Now, you might be thinking like, well, no, it was a good decision that she didn't kill her, right? And I'm like, that's kind of where my issues begin. This was so lucky, so incredibly lucky that she decides to do something that I think most Hands of the King would tell her is ill-advised. And she does it, and it has the best result possible. She happens to bump right into the perfect person who is the assassin of the queen and highlight it to everybody before it can have the effect it would. I was like, oh, that's disappointing.
It is.
Okay. I agree with you in part. The one of the things that gives me a little lenience is that the serendipitous, her seeing him as they cross aligns with the fact that he has to come to Dragonstone on a ship and she is leaving on a ship. And so that's the ship they're leaving on. And
Here's
so that
the
would
problem.
bring them closer together.
Sir Eric was not supposed to be wearing his armor. His armor was not on in the book.
Yeah, Gary's talking about specifically from the book. So what he does is he, in the book, he wears normal clothes, and then when he gets on the island and gets into town, he changes into his shit before he walks up to the castle.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but
I don't think that's like the biggest.
I think it's stupid. No, I think it's super dumb because like
I think they should have shown him getting there.
All the small folk going, "Hey, we got a Kingsguard on our fucking phone." Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
There's so many people that could have spotted that would have raised the alarm beyond the White Worm. But the whole reason that they make it her is to be like, see, Rhaenyra made the good choice here, and it actually had a really positive repercussion. And I'm just like, that doesn't feel very House of the Dragon to me.
They are doing a little too much to put Rhaenyra over. Like everything that we've seen so far, they want you to be rooting for Rhaenyra.
Yeah, and they're pushing for it very hard.
And I feel like what we're probably going to see throughout the course of this season, well, not this season, but this series, is as she loses more and more things that are dear to her, we're going to see her fall more and more into kind of chaos and letting that Targaryen fire kind of shine through. And it's going to be, it's a woman who lost all these things. That's the way that they're going to go. But it's kind of the way it goes in the book as well. Is that as she loses things, she loses more and more of her grip on reality. And ends up, maybe doing some really dumb things.
Yeah, I can't say much more because MauLer's here and we don't want to spoil stuff.
Yep.
But remember in The Gentleman, MauLer, when they let that one kid go on the boat?
Yeah.
And they're like, guys, he's gone. That's what they should have done.
So Gary, I actually thought that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
I thought that she was gonna be like, the ship, and then the guy with her was gonna like slit her throat and toss her body, so that sort of thing. Because I thought that the show was gonna go the direction of Rhaenyra has learned at this point that she can't be making these tiny happy decisions like the series did.
It might mean something later that she is making the same mistakes as her father and she will learn from that, and we can only hope. And like honestly, the series did that pretty well in season 1, like where they set things up that look kind of fucking stupid, and they did Christ, the whole Valerian and the bastard issue was set up great. It's so much better than it was in the book. because it was so obvious. So
Bro, even
So
like the little conversation we had with Jason Bela, where she's just like straight up knows. Well, what about Sir Harwin Strong? Like you're talking about, brother. What about Sir Harwin?
Mhm.
And he immediately, with no hesitation, answers. It's like such an open, known thing that they're fucking bastards.
I was actually a little surprised that was it Jace? So he was like, just went with it and just kind of acknowledged it tacitly a bit in that episode because he was so against anyone ever speaking it before. But I can accept that as just the evolution of his character. That things.
I hope it's between those two, because generally speaking, for safety, they should never speak casually about that.
Well, and that's like they're betrothed, right? They're supposed to get married.
Yeah.
So like they've been close and stuff like that. So
and they like they genuinely like each other. There's that. So
I was just gonna say though, so like it seems to me Rhaenyra would have died if not for the White Wim spotting when she did, when we didn't need to make it that way at all. We could have I quite like the idea he turns up in normal casual clothing, a bag with all of his armor, a cloak, so maybe something less conspicuous to hide the way that he looks, but something smart, and then gets behind a fucking rock,
puts it on,
and then it creates a really tense scene of him trying to get through the whole castle without anyone fully realizing. I would have played with it probably a little bit more, having people be like, oh hey, blah blah blah, we still have just anything that relates to anything that he needs to know, and he's like, yeah. And just you can see like just the guards being like, okay, it's a bit odd,
it's weird,
and then gets to Rhaenyra, because the thing is, to me, with how it stands, Rhaenyra would be dead if not for the White Wim having spotted him, which is like,
and in the book,
they
just randomly run into each other. The two twins.
Yeah, the way it is in the book, it's literal fucking coincidence. Like they turn around the corner and they're just looking at each other.
They're right there.
I actually like this better. What I wish they would have done with Mysaria is basically have Rhaenyra send her to be in prison or something like that, right? And like she's like Mysaria is trying to convince Rhaenyra that I'll be loyal to you, I'll work for you, whatever. And Rhaenyra like doesn't trust her. And then she spots him, or she spots both of them in the cat, whatever, and kind of sounds the alarm to show Rhaenyra, I will be loyal to you type of thing. I think that would have worked a lot better than having her already be set free and notifying the castle in that way.
Yeah. Different ways to do it.
Yeah.
But the actual fight between the twins was good.
I think so.
Really good.
Though was the last strike just directly through his plate?
I think it was just underneath.
I think it was
just underneath to the side. I was
kind of
paying close attention.
It was nicer than in the book. One of them gets their entire arm chopped off, and then the other one just has a dagger and hits him right under the plate in the gut. This one it's a lot different. They fight. One dies, and the other one kills himself. Basically,
literally falls on his sword.
That was brutal.
I actually liked that. That little detail then, because when you're wanting to really off yourself with a sword, it's very hard to commit the force you need to do it in one swift go. So that's whether to fall on your sword because you let gravity do the work for you. And they had that, and I was like, oof, you feel it. Yep.
No,
that one was all done.
I like that they didn't use the mushroom version, honestly, Ryan. I like that like they used the one from the songs where they actually regretted killing each other, but they're like, I still love you, brother.
See, I was sitting there and I'm thinking like, because I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was like, as soon as Kristen approached him in the kitchen, I knew that we were going to get that this episode, which I wasn't expecting. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're obviously going to get twisted up. Like no one's going to know. I was sitting there thinking, are we going to get to a position where one of them wins and Rhaenyra can't trust, like doesn't know who it is.
I was kind of thinking that
to have the other one execute him, regardless of who it was. I thought that might be where we're going.
Go
ahead.
I get that could be a fun payoff, but it wouldn't. I'd be annoyed if that happened because there'd be plenty of information that could confirm which one he is, the remaining one. It'd just be like, you've been here forever or you haven't, and that's gonna be pretty.
What did I have for breakfast yesterday?
Yeah, exactly. What did we talk about yesterday? And then you'd be like, oh fuck.
But like to see him, like this is the guy who got Rhaenys out. This is the guy who stole Viserys's crown, who went to Dragonstone, the first person to fucking swear fealty to her, right? The guy who made it happen. and
He's
to
gone.
see him feel so much guilt over having to kill his brother to defend her that he was just ready to be done it is a fucking brutal scene, man. I thought it was really well done.
I have one criticism for the scene, and it's when they're fighting and the other Kingsguard arrives and is there, he could help. And look, I think I can accept that the brother didn't want help and he didn't call out for help or say, I'm the real one. But I was waiting for one of them to say, I'm the real one, come and help. But if they wanted to keep it just, no, I'm fighting my brother, no one's getting involved, I'm going to do the deed, I could go with it. There was that moment where I was kind of.
I think it borders on cartoonish. If they do it, I'm the real one. No, I'm the real one.
Yeah.
No, help me, help me. I don't think Hot Tea is suitable for that. Like,
I think he was there to make sure the queen is safe. That's all he cares about. Those two can fight it to the death. And then the door was locked because he was going to haul ass and just take her out. And then maybe he came back and the door was locked.
Also, to defend, loads of people somehow misunderstood Shad. They're like, he did say he didn't know which one. It's like, no, Shad's saying, why didn't they make clear either one of them? Why did they attempt to do anything?
Or why didn't one of them call out for additional help?
They should have done the Spider-Man meme, dude.
Well, you can just, this is the thing, there's unique knowledge they would have. Say, for example, that guy who was asking who it is, he would know something personal about him that the other one wouldn't. And he could just say, like, we went fishing yesterday, it's him.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly. And that's what I was wondering, like, during the fight. It's like, one of them could easily establish that I'm the real guy. I'm trying to protect the queen. The queen's life is very important in this thing. But like I said, I think I could accept it if their logic was, this is my brother, I need to do the deed myself. No one's getting involved.
To be honest with you, I think that was the character's point of view and the show's point of view. I think the show wanted them to fight each other and not have anyone else intervene. Because it's quite sad.
It is. And right, Ryan, like we're I think I was expecting a little more retribution, but this was a somber episode. And the guy playing Aegon is fucking great. Like he's really good at
consider we barely got any of them in season 1.
Yeah.
Like he's fucking awesome in this. He's funny. Like the way he delivers his shit is funny. He is obnoxious, but you also do have a little bit of like, he's not a character that you straight up fucking despise or hate. You know, especially with the little they showed us in the beginning with him wanting to show his heir how things were done, with how ignored he's been by his father and by his mother. Like he's a character you can have empathy for 100%.
They achieved that really well in this episode because I hate the guy. He's spoiled, but he's messed up, and there's all the reasons that actually explain why he's such a drop kick. But the fact that he had genuine love for his son and they showed that true remorse, especially that scene where he was just crying, that showed some real humanity, which made his character very interesting and dynamic. And I want to see what's going to happen with him now. It was very well done.
Now, Kristen Cole can get fucked. Fuck that piece of shit. I hate Kristen Cole. What an absolute trash.
Dude, I think Kristen Cole hates Kristen Cole.
What a fucking simp in every sense of the word, dude. Fucking fuck that dude. So we talked about the rando scenes with the characters that they're introducing that honestly, I don't know if you need to introduce them. I just don't know how important it is this season. Maybe we'll find out.
You know, like the Corliss one in episode 1, that was fine to me.
That was fine.
He was like, "You saved me." You blah, blah. It's like, to me, it's a Corliss scene with
and the Hughes
this guy.
The Corliss and the Hughes scene in the first episode fit in way better than they did in this one. It just didn't give it, like, the Hughes scene gave us, okay, here's a guy who thinks they're getting a lot of commitments from the crown, that things are going to get better. He's got a sick daughter. And you get a little bit of an idea of how the small folk feel about what's going on and how it's affecting them. And
that's
then
kind of an interesting comparison. Sorry, just both the episode 1 scenes for both of those bonus characters that are obviously going to come up later were better than the episode 2 ones.
They were.
Carry on. Sorry.
Now
with Hugh, the characters changed from the book personality wise, like completely with this one scene. Because there is, I don't want to get too far ahead. Some people are portrayed as just brutes, just fucking dumb fucking brutes. He's obviously not. Like he's got the daughter.
It's also an uncertain story.
That's true. That's really that's true. I just say,
and based on everything that he
Harwin
does
Strong.
later, maybe there's a reason he was portrayed that way by the people that were telling the story.
Yeah, Harwin Strong was kind of portrayed as a dumb brute too, and you know he was no in the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I feel bad about Harwin Strong. He seemed like he was a nice dude.
I feel bad
He's a
about
bad
his
guy.
dad as well. His dad was like the most best
Dude,
hand
Lionel-
Viserys had.
Yeah,
Like,
Lionel might be one of the best characters in terms of morality and intelligence in the whole series,
Yeah.
the universe.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever watched like Game of Thrones or anything, but anytime you come across a character who's like that, they're gonna fucking die. Like that's,
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's true.
that's what it is.
But it is interesting that they changed Hugh, his
Okay.
personality from the book. So there's more, way more to him. But the scene is again so out of fucking nowhere, and it's like, what's it? How is this connected in the episode in any way?
Yeah,
They felt
until he
jammed
becomes interesting
Sorry.
enough to do a plot line on his own, you got to put him in with other characters first because
Yes.
it gets weird
You know,
otherwise.
I just want to jump on what Ryan was saying about where you come across that one character. I think there's only one exception I can think of, and this is probably why I love this character so much, and that's Dunk, Sir Duncan the Tall from Hedge Knight.
Well, what happens to him at Summer Hall?
Yeah,
I know, but for the most part, he actually is a honorable knight.
great casting, by the way.
He looks great.
Damn.
Oh,
Also, no
I saw what it
speculation.
said.
That's going to be a TV show we cover eventually. So
Oh, no,
Yes.
I can't wait for Hedge Knight, because that's one of my favorite story in the whole, Westeros Game of Thrones world, right? And I think it's because it's one of the few really noble characters that actually somewhat succeeds in doing the right thing.
silence.
It's a
All right, that's all I'll say.
it's good stuff. Well, you could read the comics. You could read the
Yeah, man.
book. The graphic novel. The comics are really good.
And then, like, on occasion, when you do have these characters that are good and like take like King Jaehaerys, right? King Jaehaerys, for the most part, fucking really restored stability to the realm, did all the right
Conciliator.
things, had a bunch of kids. Guess what? His life was just fucking tragic because all of his children fucking die in horrific ways. Like, you know what I mean? So you're either going to actually die or your life's going to be shit. Whatever.
Yeah. But the graphic novels are great. They're some of my favorite, man. It's funny. I read the graphic novels not realizing that was in the Game of Thrones universe. I just like, hey, I like knights. I'll give that a go, and it was freaking great. I was like, this is awesome.
The Hedge Knight was actually out of all of it. It was one of the first things I read, if not the first thing I read.
Something I noticed in the episode that I find curious and see what you guys think is becomes pretty clear when he's angry at Aegon that Otto says to him, "Oh, you think your father chose you?" Which to me, I was less concerned about Aegon's sort of reaction to that, and more concerned with thinking about, wait, so he didn't believe Alicent when she said what she said?
No, of course not.
He just thought that she was scheming just as much as he would.
That was a great scene, by the way, and I think that was a great thing to put in. Like, of course, nobody fucking believes Alice.
I mean, to be honest with you, I wouldn't.
Yeah, right before he died, he whispered to me, fucking Aegon. All right,
it's
sure,
very
whatever you
weak.
say, woman.
Yeah,
Like, they were planning. Remember, because they were planning that the entire time, and that Alicent finds out that they were planning on doing this, regardless of what she said. So.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's a scene I still had so many issues with when she says, like, "Oh, you've been plotting all of this without even knowing it," and then the fucking guy to her left says, "We didn't want to concern you with Darkling schemes." I was like, why would you even say that, you fucking idiot?
schemes.
I was almost expecting Otto to say to Aegon, because I forget the lead up to it, something along the lines where Aegon says something like, "I'm king" or something like that. And I was expecting Otto to reply saying, "I made you king." But didn't go that way, but still, it was a good scene.
Yeah,
So, I mean, there's so many
phenomenal.
I thought it was excellent. There's so many comparison scenes that I think about with Game of Thrones in a very positive light, like to see how they turn out. Because, I am the king from Joffrey. And then you have the legendary line that gets quoted by everybody forever: any man who must say I am the king is no true king.
Yes.
Just like, what the fuck? And how everyone's just like, listen, Joffrey, you're scary, but he's scarier.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some great stuff in the Game of Thrones general, because that is a killer line right
Well,
there.
he's scarier because his logic behind the Red Wedding is sound.
Mhm.
It's like, is is it more honorable or less honorable to kill 10,000 men in the battlefield or a few at dinner? You know,
A dozen at dinner, yeah.
What did you think of Alicent wanting to admit what she did to Otto, and he just is like, I don't want to hear it.
I consider that a complete parallel with explaining to us why she's so fucked up as a parent, is that he was a terrible parent to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he knows, by the way.
He knows. He'd rather not deal with it. And I thought it was a really sad scene because those two really were connecting for a second there, and how she explained the perfect plan to get him back. He was proud of her. And then it's like, let me explain my flaws to you. And then he's like, nope, bye. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's just reflected with her son needs her, and she fails him as well.
It's just this constant fucking like parallel that they're showing between the Alicent, this person who did her duty, did everything the right way, well, up until she started fucking Kristen Cole, whenever that was, right? But did what her dad wanted her to do, got close to the king, an old man who then fucked her. She bore his children, all this stuff, but all those kids are fucked up because nobody actually cares about them. Whereas Rhaenyra did everything wrong, right? Rhaenyra sleeps out of wedlock, like does all this stuff, lies to everybody. These people really shouldn't be the heir to Driftmark or the Iron Throne or anything. Yet she actually like cares about them, and their family like cares about them, and they're like good kids. So they're always like throwing those different comparisons at you.
Yeah. Well, got to sow those wild oats when you're young. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's
I
guess
what it's for.
It's another thing what I love about this series. It's a very human series where a lot of all this messy kind of, relationship stuff, it feels very real in terms of just people in general. Everyone's flawed. There's some good people. There's a lot of selfishness, and it makes it feel very immersive and like this is an actual real world going on, and it's a credit to the writing.
Well, I certainly hope they show later a very good reason for Maseri to still be alive. I'll just leave it at that, because that's kind of those were the two scenes that I just like, they went on too long. And I think it felt like an attempt to characterize Maseri, but all she's been doing is basically, it's been exposition of her character. She gets questioned about something. She goes, I came over here with nothing.
You're right. Yeah.
And it's just like, come on. I think there's other ways to do that. And, like, I know she's a character in the book, and they haven't given her a ton, and there's a bunch of stuff they need to explain, and maybe this is part of it.
Well, and
so I don't know.
Let's be clear. She was the linchpin for both of the huge payoffs in both episodes.
Yep.
Like in terms of how they run. That's pretty crazy to have for a side character that we really should have probably gotten more on, or they should have moved her around in a certain way. I don't know. I agree. I don't know how I feel about her yet and her full role.
She is like
very consequential.
She is important. Yes.
She is important and consequential for things that happen, for sure.
She has.
Well, so here's a question: why, when Laris changed the staff, did he not do anything about the rat catcher?
Well, I can't.
Why would Laris Strong do anything?
Speaking of rat catchers, moving right along. MauLer.
Well, I do entertain the idea that it's he's got other plans, that he did it on purpose. But...
Yes, I think that will be. I think that will be answered. I will say something that's I think will be answered, because what they did with the rat catchers, I fucking loved. I thought that was because the one thing I was thinking is like, okay, they're doing this funeral procession. This is going to win over the small folk. This is going to win over houses. This is crazy. Like, holy shit. Like, this is a great move. Great political move. Hard, harsh, but a great political move. And then Aegon fucks it up immediately, because in the book, it's Otto Hightower who orders the rat catchers.
Oh,
really?
Yes. And in the show, but remember, it's unreliable narrator. In the show, it's Aegon, which is fucking way better. A way better decision, because this isn't going to mess with the houses, but like the small folk in King's Landing are going to be pissed about this, because you saw the mothers weeping and the brothers, and that's what Otto gets fucking pissed about. And it really worked. It was fucking
seemed
great.
Like the angriest we've ever seen him, which was fun.
Yeah. Because it undid all of their work. Like that whole thing. You just sewed your son's head on and rode him around town for nothing, basically. Now it's still probably going to help with houses. It might, but we'll have to see.
I still say, like, I think a lot of this shit is gonna come back to, at the end of the day, and this is really one of the things that one of the themes in George's books. When it all comes down to it, the small folk don't care who's in charge. They don't give a shit about any of this.
Nope.
And they always get fucked. They always get fucked over
Always.
by these people that are, scheming for power. They are the ones that are last. They are the ones that no one ever thinks about. And they are going to be a big reason that things end up the way they do by the time this series ends.
Well, do you love the part where he says, like, you're writing letters, you're not doing anything. Kristen Cole did something. And the camera just sits on Otto, and he's like, what? Kristen Cole did what? what did he do? I think even Cole is like, oh no, don't bring that up.
I know.
Like, bro.
And just when the Aegon chooses Cole as the head, I wasn't expecting that. And then Cole's expression is like, "What the hell?" It's just, it's good.
It is. It is, and yeah, that scene with Otto was fucking great. He takes off the badge of the hand and tosses it, and which is still pretty insolent. Even if you're a grandfather, it's pretty insolent to a fucking kid.
No, yeah, I think he's making errors. I think he's underestimating just how much trouble he can get in with some of this stuff. Because it's like, I'm Otto Hightower. I should be able to fucking like wave my dick around somewhat. And it's like, no. You should be very careful.
Nope. So we got over the fight, and that's pretty much it. I mean, Aegon cries at the end. I thought there was going to be a little, because again, this is a long fucking episode, but it was purely dramatic, setting things up for what's to come. I can't say much more. I still don't know where they're going to end this series.
I think obviously we got the preview that, Daemon is, everyone's questioning, what's Daemon doing? He's going to Harrenhal. Like, you can see that in the preview episode. I hope we get to see and explore a lot more of Harrenhal than we've seen before on screen. And I feel like he's going to be there for a little while, so we'll see.
The Riverlands.
But after that, we're going to have a major battle.
Yep. The Riverlands are going to get explored. I hope we get to see Old Town. I think we will at some point, like a lot more than we did. Yeah. Hopefully we'll see some new places that we didn't. There's actually a lot of places we didn't see in Game of Thrones. So it would be cool to see that. You're not going to see the East a whole bunch, but you'll see a lot of Westeros. One of the bummer things from last episode I just wanted to bring up was there was way more to the Stark story that they just kind of brushed off. I don't know how they could have fit it, but it would have been interesting to see.
I have little faith in when they don't keep stuff in, because I'll usually I have PTSD with Lady Stoneheart. I'm not gonna lie.
So do I.
But someone I read recently, I saw someone tweeting about it, was that Ryan Condal said, to explain like Blood and Cheese somewhat, that they weren't even allowed to do some of the stuff or whatever, and that you can't do that with children, as to explain like why they went the route they did. And I just remember reading it and thinking, like, this isn't at all like an answer to the question of why you didn't do what you could have done. I actually think that we talked about it last episode, but that you didn't need to add a single additional piece of violence to make that scene much more impactful and terrifying. Yep. No blood or gore extra. You don't even need it.
No, you didn't need it at all. You need that choice. That choice would have had way more impact.
And of course, when you kill kids, they don't even need to be on set. They could be on set for when they're just standing there going hello, and then the CG people can take care of the rest.
Exactly. It does feel like this sometimes PG-13 Game of Thrones. It just
I've seen people say this, and I kind of do feel this way. It does feel a little bit more the edges have been salted down or whatever. A bit.
I might be an outlier on this, but I actually kind of like that they've toned it down just a tad. I think it becomes a little bit more accessible for those that get turned off by some of the extremities and indulgences Game of Thrones did.
I can understand
I'm
that.
Probably an outlier on that one.
Well, I think that's fair. It's just that it does like go both ways, in the sense that some people get taken out by the fact that it doesn't go as far because they feel the world should have no limit. It should do anything that it's like. Yeah, there are some scenes, even in like I think we brought this in Fallout, right? Doesn't first episode's main character girl, she has like sex fully in her wedding dress from start to finish. You're like, okay. And I can see people like, oh, just go watch porn if you need it. It's like, no, it's really not that at all. It's just weird. It's like, who the fuck does that?
And it's really weird for Game of Thrones to be covering up boobs. So it just is.
Yeah,
it ain't right. Okay.
Like we did get a decent amount, I guess, in the first season.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, I thought you meant Game of Thrones.
Like, like maybe the first like Game of Thrones was, but we got enough that it felt like it was part of it.
Yeah.
This one, now that I think one of the differences as well, and you could even see this when Emilia Clarke became a massive star, they stopped doing stuff like that with her. And I feel like because the property got so big, because it blew up the way it did, now these new actors and actresses, they're immediately put in that level of fame. So like Olivia Cook, like you're probably gonna have these characters that don't want to appear nude or whatever that are taking the roles. I feel like that's the way it is anyway.
It could be that. I was gonna say even the death of that one of the killers, right? He got hit when we saw one of the hits, and then it cuts away. And I was just thinking to myself, like, you understand, this is a show with hyper violence at certain times. This is a character that sawed off a baby's head, and we're with Aegon somewhat emotionally. So this is an appropriate time to deliver horrors to this person, not in necessarily the sense that we all go yeah, but more so in the sense of recognizing the consequences of his decisions.
No, it's supposed to be horrific, and that's another thing I was surprised that they cut away at least 2 hits on his head, show his head collapse. They kind of did that with Sir Longmouth too, with Kristen Cole. Although there was some
that was pretty brutal.
But you think of the Red Viper getting his head popped like a fucking zit. Like you would get something for cheese. When it was cheese. Yeah, cheese, right?
Oh, well, Blood is the one that got killed by Aegon. Cheese is the one.
Blood. Yeah, Blood.
While his dog looked on him.
Yeah, so we never found out what happened to Cheese. So now we do. Like
they just killed all the rat catchers.
They just killed all the rat. Yep, he didn't get out of fucking town. Like should have.
At least Daemon didn't have to pay the other half.
That's true.
Well, they didn't deliver the head, but yeah.
Well, there's
yeah, I guess they got confirmation on it.
And the chat's all poor dog. Poor doggo.
Well, that's like, I swear that dog like took over social media after it got kicked. Nobody cared about a child that just got head sawed off. Everyone cared about the fucking dog. And like here, hold on. This fucking picture. I don't need to put my headphones in because I don't need to share my audio. What am I doing?
Old habits die hard.
Exactly. Here it is. Look at this guy.
Oh, look at that dog.
Lord, take his pain, quadruple it, and give it to Kristen Cole.
I don't know. That dog was complicit in the murder of the child.
Don't worry.
Screw the dog.
That dog is going to end up in like some flea bottom brown stew. Okay, so that's where he will end up.
We have no idea what other murders that dog was complicit in. That rat catcher was a scoundrel from the beginning. Screw the dog.
Stew.
The dog doesn't understand what his dad was doing. He was just trying to help. That poor guy.
Help. I also this one made me like I do like just all the memes that immediately come out like right in the aftermath of this shit. This one made me die. It's like the dumbest one I've seen. Daemon in the council meeting. We're all trying to find the guy who did this.
Oh,
so stupid.
Dude, Free Folk on Reddit used to be so good for memes back in the day.
That was therapy for season 8.
Yeah.
That's. Do you remember like there was a huge war of just the Game of Thrones subreddit was just filled with astroturfing and lies.
Yep.
A Song of Ice and Fire were pretty angry, and then Free Folk were just like, "You can come here to be honest."
Yeah, you're good.
I do think that this is one of those things that is such a big difference between traditional television viewing and appointment television viewing and what we're at with streaming now.
Yeah.
It still feels like even though virtually no one's watching this on HBO, almost everyone's watching it on Max. but everyone is watching it right when it comes out. And there's like just a fan aspect of it when it does happen. Everyone's reacting right along with it, where you just don't get from most of the streaming shows at all.
I find that as well with the weekly versus binge thing. At the moment I'm like, I could go for another one. I really could, but by the time it's all over, I'm happy for the weekly thing. It's always really fun to look back on and be like, that was cool to go through all of that, talking about it, speculating, being able to dig in further instead of rush over certain scenes.
Oh yeah, you get to absorb it and kind of think over the events of the episode, and it gets me more familiar with what happened because I get that time to ponder on the motivations, the characters, and discussions like this, like just help me sometimes see things in a more accurate light, interpreting characters, like the silliness with the twin guy arriving not in his armor and stuff. And I think MauLer's right about that. And Ryan, when you mentioned that Alicent didn't comfort her son when he was crying, I think that's a very good point, especially when she goes off to get banged by Cole.
These are awful fucking people. They're worse than I thought they were.
Well, I first was interpreting that she was leaving him out of respect to leave him in his grief, but the fact that she went off just to get laid, it's like, you have a point. You got a point.
Yeah, I think she's not suited to the pressure. She doesn't know what to do exactly. What we saw of her with Aegon in season 1 was abusive, basically. She knows how to do that. Which is unfortunate because you'd think maybe from the way that she acts, like Alicent seems like she'd be possibly suited to motherhood, and it's like she doesn't have the tools. She doesn't know how to do it. And
Rhaenyra was pretty good mom.
Well, because Rhaenyra had the best part of her dad, while the other kids did not.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Alicent specific, she did go off to get laid, but that probably wasn't her intent first, because she runs into Cole and Cole is waiting there for her, and then she slaps him. And is that slap because it's like, how dare you come to do this to me now?
I think again that's projection.
All projection. And
obviously he's into it. So
yes,
she left Aegon crying because she didn't know what to do, and she doesn't love him. she just doesn't. She's a terrible fucking mother. And what they tried to present, and they did in this episode, was the dudes made the rash decisions. But it's all because they really fucking had some bad parenting, and
these women who are supposed to, we're the gentle the gentle hand that guides the men who rule. Well, it turns out they're all making really fucking dumb decisions too.
Yeah,
like that's the story.
Well, yeah, Rhaenyra should realize there is a bit of a mistake she made here, being like, I want Aemon Targaryen. You say that to your entire council, one of which is a bloodthirsty fucker.
What do you think he's gonna do? It's like
it's the parallel, I think, with Laris, where she was like, if only someone would be in my corner and do things for me. And then Laris is like, sure, I'll kill all the people for you. She's like, whoa.
And then you have to sit him down and go like, hey, as fucked up as it is, this is the way shit gets done here.
Really
This is how things get done. This is the way of this world. So I don't know. I like the first episode better.
Me too.
And I thought this one was a little clunky. Mixed bag.
I actually think the highs of this episode were better than the highs of last episode.
Yes.
I thought the Kristen Aegon stuff.
Yeah. The scene with Rhaenyra and his son, though, that was pretty fucking good in the first episode.
That was good.
But I felt like this one was
Sir Eddic fighting was
Well, I'm really partial to Otto as well. So
that was
obviously the duel with the brothers
so far.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask for the four of us, who's your favorite character right now? The one that when he shows up or she shows up, you're like, yes, this is the most interested I'm gonna be.
It's tough to not say Daemon. Like Daemon's such like an obvious fucking gay answer, It's
aside from Daemon,
Aemon was up there, but they've really I'm wondering what
I thought I would be annoyed with Aegon this whole time, and I'm not.
He's been a surprise.
He's had the biggest change in a good way from season 1 to 2, but we also didn't see this actor barely any in season 1. Yep. We got very little of him. Episode 8 is the first time we saw him, right? That's the dinner scene.
Yes.
I think that's the first time we got this actor. Before it was that dude with like the long flowy hair and shit.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think
It's the last couple because they change Rhaenyra and Alicent, but it's still the younger kids for a little while, and then it goes to the older version. So I think it's 8. Chat will correct us if we're wrong.
But
We rely on you. We believe in you, Chat.
They are of great interest. For me, it's going to be. I want a bit more for Aemond, and I'm sure I'm going to get it. And then Daemon, of course, and then Otto. I just I find it fascinating to watch this guy try and make his way through this world when he's like 80% the power level of Tywin. So just watching him make all these mistakes and try to work with people who are so useless. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and with what Ryan was saying, I'm a bit divided because I really enjoyed some of the higher moments in this episode. I felt there was wider range in terms of people reaching some real emotional states. Like, you know, it opened with just Aegon raging and losing it, and I felt that was done really well. Then, of course, you see Otto going off, and that really drew me in. And so I'm like, I liked it about the same as episode 1 at the moment. Right. I'm enjoying them both.
I found what the episode is named, Rhaenyra the Cruel. Which is she really? Got that. Yeah, they finally updated it. She got that name in the book. And now this is how she ended up getting that name.
Oh, now I got to change the name of this later, but we'll stick with episode 2 for now. I think Farewell, My Brother would have been better, but I think it would have been me.
Too. Should go with my fucking ideas, Ryan Condal, you fuck.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, this thematic stuff, like Farewell, My Brother, you could argue is what I'm trying to think of.
Eris was thinking about Luke.
Yeah.
Or saying goodbye to. No, that's not her brother. It's
you thought Daemon was her brother for a second.
It's a Targaryen. That's an honest mistake.
It could be.
I saw somebody in chat earlier who was like, all of Alicent's kids are messed up pervs. All Rhaenyra wanted was love. It's like, well, I mean, Rhaenyra also wanted to go to a brothel and get fucked by her uncle when she was like 14 years old. So, like, let's calm down a little there. Rhaenyra's just an innocent little girl.
She made so many bad decisions and terrible, like I would say mistakes, but they weren't mistakes. They were willful. Like, what was she thinking when she was sacking up with Strong? Like, really? Well, it was
3 kids with him.
3 kids with him. I mean,
it's what Alicent said in that episode is like 1 is a mistake, sure. 2 is a bit much. 3 is just insulting. Like, this has gotten to a point where it's absurd.
And so, she, in my opinion, was not fit to rule at the time when Viserys died, like not by a long shot. Though now the aftermath is all falling out, and you're seeing how fit the Greens are, and it's like I was on the Green side because of all the mistakes that what's it face did that we're just mentioning. But now with all the crap that's falling out and how bad the kids are, and I really like Jace. He seems like a really decent dude, and he doesn't deserve the crap that he gets because of he was just born. What did he do? But he's actually a really decent guy, and he'd make a great king. And so
that's the irony, right? That he that he would make a great ruler. He cares about learning the tongues of his ancestors. He cares about doing all the right things. He cares about keeping up appearances. But by his birth status, he shouldn't be king. But all these people that are nice stand-up dudes, they always do really well in this world. So I'm sure it's going to turn out well for him, Shad.
Yep. Thanks for that.
Hey, but we always got for Duncan the Tall, Shad.
That's what I got. That's what I hold on to, man.
It was a pretty good life. All right. We ready for super chats, guys?
Yeah.
Sir Marhouse for $4.99 says Sir Christian Cole has acted. And what has Sir Christian Cole done? His look of exasperation is incredible. Greatest scene in the episode. Absolutely. He killed it in this episode. He was so fucking good. And it's almost like everything was building up to this. He has been nothing but restrained anger like the entire series.
Yeah, and the first time he really bites, he loses the job, which to him must be like, this is such bullshit. I do everything right, damn it.
Dakota Stanton says the Kingmaker appears. Yes, Sir Kristen Cole is the Kingmaker. By the way,
with him being Hand, is he no longer head of the Kingsguard now? Because I
He's
assume...
both, right?
He's both.
Both.
See, that surprises me. I thought you'd have to resign that position to be the head.
They
No,
they
They kind of
mentioned
make
it
up the
before
rules as they
in.
go, Shad.
I could have sworn this was mentioned in Game of Thrones as having been precedented, that there have been times where Lord Commanders have been hands.
Yes.
It does happen,
Alrighty.
even though that's ahead of history in a sense.
They
but you know what I
refer
mean.
to this series a lot in Game of Thrones. You go back and rewatch, they'll spoil the whole damn thing for you.
Because I was half wondering that if
Take
he
it,
was
Dakota.
released as on the Kingsguard to be Hand, that frees him up to being with Alicent, and that's why he was meeting her in the room, because now they could be more open about a relationship. But I guess not.
No, he's
Yeah,
just an
could be.
asshole. Fucking
Yeah.
lecturing Sir Eric about that cloak represents purity and chastity, all this shit. While
You
he's
could-
still
dude, you could
watching
tell
the smell of Allison off his dick.
So Eric was totally like, where is this energy coming from? Like,
Yeah.
what is
Whoa.
this?
Why are you coming at me like this, man? I'm just trying to fucking eat my breakfast, for fuck's sake. Damn it. Put a sock on the door, motherfucker. Whatever. Well, we don't care. Put a sock on the door handle. Dakota Stanton again for $20 says, this is a good death. The operative. Yes. God dang.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know the reference, don't you?
Yes. How's Drinker with that getting through Firefly?
He's you're getting there. Like, it's gonna be, I think, for everybody watching, it'll be 1 episode per 2 weeks is gonna be the rate. Not the fastest, but he'll get to Serenity eventually.
He will.
And yeah, that was an example of falling on a sword, but he forces people to fall on their swords. That bad guy has like 15 minutes of screen time, and he's fucking brilliant.
Fuck, one of the best bad guys in science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Rice, is it Rice? Or
Reese.
Reese Ifans. Did I say it right? Reese
Got it.
Ifans. Okay, yes. Is an amazing actor, and this episode has solidified that for me. Really enjoy the episode reviews. Can't wait to keep on watching. Thank you, Russell. We enjoy doing these. Believe me. Believe that.
Well, yes, I am happy to not know his fate. I'm going to speculate wildly, and I'm just going to avoid looking at people's faces when I mention any assumption on how long he has to live.
He lives happily ever after. He makes it through the
Yay.
entire
Well,
series.
that's the thing,
That
though.
dies of old age.
Sounds about right for Game of
Surrounded by
Thrones.
his family.
Contrary to what one might assume, I don't want there to be a happily ever after for my favorite characters. I want there to be a story-driven, suitable. Because it's like, oh, you like Tywin, but you hated he died on the toilet. It's like, no, that was brilliant. That's such a good way to end his story. It was perfect. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's like, yeah, I hope the same for Otto. I enjoy it.
I tell you, I got a little. I stole this idea from somebody on Twitter. I got a little office bathroom here, and I have a stand-up Tyrion staring right in front of my toilet. So every time you sit in the toilet, Tyrion's right there. Why not? I can do what the fuck I want.
It was so appropriate for him to die that way, but also the way, like, what Tyrion found out that he was doing, like,
Yeah.
that everything he says, all like everything he talks about, it was so much of it ended up just being projection and
Yep.
not the way he lived in private.
No, dude. When I read that, I'm like, wait a minute, what? I had to reread it. I'm like, oh shit, he tunneled down to the fucking whorehouse. That was Tywin banging all those hookers the whole time. A dick. What an asshole. But yeah,
Some might say based, but yeah. fair enough.
based. Tywin was the manosphere of Westeros. That's what he was.
Well, so I can't remember if we've asked this question before, but in the universe of A Song of Ice and Fire, who is everyone's favorite character?
Oh, Sir Duncan the Tall, but I kind of already admitted that.
Bloodraven.
I feel like we don't know enough for him to be my favorite.
That's why he's my favorite, because he's just some fucking like albino bastard wizard that can that just manipulates everything, and we don't know if he's good or bad.
One of the characters that became my favorite was definitely Jaime.
Jaime was awesome at his
Like-
best.
Yeah, like in the books, I'm talking about like him. We're going through what he does in the books, which is done better than the show.
Oh, in the
obviously.
books,
But yeah.
Victorian. Fucking love Victorian Greyjoy.
Oh, wait, you're
such
picking
a-
fucking Bloodraven from the shows.
Are we doing shows? I'm
If it
doing
was shows-
the show.
If it
I
shows,
should have known from MauLer that it wasn't about.
yeah,
that.
because then I can't pick Dunk. If it's the shows, it'd be Viserys. I friggin' love Viserys.
Yeah. What's funny for me is when I was watching Game of Thrones the first time around, I remember Ned Stark went to #1 like instantly. It was so much fun. When he was gone, I remember realizing, I think it was season 3, I was like, wait a minute, my top 3 characters now are all Lannisters. Like, what the fuck happened?
Like Tyrion's the obvious. It's the early part of the show. Tyrion for sure. Tyrion fucking ruled.
He was awesome, man.
God, later on,
Fuck no. That's the problem with all of this. Is like when you say show only, because even Jamie pissed me off by the time we get to the end of the seasons.
Yeah, 100%. Jamie
and like how Bronn and Arya both just got cranked up because of their fan appreciation. Bronn started becoming so fucking important to all of it. Remember, he's the one that shot Drogon with the scorpion. It's like, Bronn? Okay.
God.
Yeah, later on, it's I mean, like Tormund Giantsbane.
Oh, he's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say he's
I wonder how
probably
much that's the
my
actor.
favorite in the show. Yeah,
The actor was doing such a good job with it.
but he's really good in the books. I mean, he's in it more in the show, but he's really good.
Oh,
in the
what
books,
I'm getting
too.
at is that he didn't have a lot in the show, but of what we got, it was really good because the actor really gave it everything. Yeah.
Love Tormund. Now I have a soft spot for the Wild.
Oh, Davos is another great example of the actor making it so that he became one of the most important characters in the entire show.
And then it just season 7 and 8. It's just like
they just forgot about him, right?
Well, no, remember he was leading the charge into King's Landing on foot with Jon. And it was like, what the fuck is he doing there? Remember that? I don't want to open old wounds. It's never a good idea.
Well, in the books they have a good explanation, but there in the show, no. And a lot of characters I like in the books, though.
Mm-hmm.
Otto acted his ass off when he lost his badge. Here, boy, melt it down with the others. Yeah, it did remind me of that. Finally heard about Darren, and I still think MauLer is in the show. No, he is not in the show. He is not in the show. They would have mentioned it. There is a crib in the kids' room, but it could have been the old crib. Those were pretty small kids. Yeah,
we did discuss this, I think, off stream last time, but we assume it's just, one of them used it and they don't anymore.
Sometimes you don't take down your crib, dude. When your kid, I don't know, maybe I'm just too sentimental. I was bummed when I took my crib down for my kid and he didn't need it anymore. It was like when my kid graduated high school. It's like I should be super happy, but I'm kind of bummed right now.
No, I get that.
But it's nice. You don't have to fucking reach down in there anymore and shit.
I agree. No, like they're gonna grow up and leave the house, and I won't have to fucking pay for their food anymore. It's great, but I kind of like my kid, so
Our youngest is just growing past the toddler age, and is like, this is our last baby. It's all teenagers now up to that ahead of me. So but yeah, it's been it's greatest time having just a little baby there.
Hell yeah. Hail Boys, by the way, that's how he Hail Boys, and thank you Vermithor for $25. Where a dragon gets money, I don't know, but I won't question it. Thank you very much. Sam Gilly for $2 says, never let Sarah Hess cook again. Oh my god, she wrote for Deadwood. Deadwood's one of the best written shows like ever, but she's also done, I think, didn't she do episode 9? Pretty sure she did episode 9.
Oh, maybe.
But some of her stuff was very clunky. She wrote this episode and it was clunky. Like it definitely was. It did not flow as well as the last one. And I imagine, just by anecdotal evidence of looking at the chat, I haven't seen anything on Twitter, Ryan. A lot of people are probably going to say it's boring.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think for most people that are committed to watching the show, they're okay with this type of pace for a show. You know what I mean? Like they've already established that there's a lot of stuff like that. Although this is slower than some of the other ones, but I don't think it's as good as the first one. I thought there were some better points, but some more like things that some scenes that feel unnecessary that I'm almost positive will not feel unnecessary later, 3 or 4 episodes down the line. But for right now, when we watch it now, I feel like we think they're unnecessary.
Yep. it's not like this was better than the Acolyte. It's still good. I will watch this episode again. I know.
This is orders of
magnitude.
Orders
of magnitude better than anything that's been on this year, maybe except for The Gentleman. But it's still really good. I'll watch it again. I like watching these in my home theater again. And God, they look good. They fucking look so good. Hand shot last for $4.99 says this episode made me love every character even more. Phenomenal. Love the look Otto gives of utter disgust. We may yet get another episode 8 quality. I hope so. With Otto, yeah. I mean, we've all been looked at by our fathers like that at some point, right? Or maybe it's just me.
What are you saying, Gary?
Maybe it's just me. Trucker Mark for $5. It's so amazing what good writing does for a storyline. Did you see the Milli Vanilli cameo at the shipyard? I did. It's great that those two are back together. Girl, it's true.
I have
Blame
no
it on the
idea
rain.
what you're talking about.
Milli Vanilli? You don't know? The greatest musical artist who ever lived, Shad?
Who's that?
Milli Vanilli.
Never heard.
Never heard?
I might have listened to a song. I don't remember artist names.
Blame It on the Rain? You've never heard Blame It on the Rain?
Oh, I've heard songs, but I don't know who sings.
Well, they didn't say. Well, if you heard the songs, they didn't make any of them because they lip synced. It was a sham.
Wait. Are they the two black guys that post? Yeah. Okay, I have heard of them then. Yes. Yes. All right.
Is Aemon having mommy issues in the book? Yes. Very much.
Does, yes, actually.
Yeah, like in defense of it, I think it works. It really bolsters the effect Alicent has had and how wrong it would be for all of these people to be in power. They're all fucked up. They all got different interests, but I still wouldn't have handled this scene with him in the way that they did it. Main problem is with dialogue. I guess I may have changed exactly. Like, I like the idea that he's looking for someone to act more motherly with him, but I don't know whether or not he would be that vulnerable with someone so low-born in public. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess we just don't know enough about him necessarily.
Yeah, it makes sense that he would speak like that to someone outside of his kind of, sphere, because he like in his world, he's obviously only presenting a very specific front that is like this badass who, is going to get things done and don't mess with him. And so if he's going to show a vulnerable side, it would never be to anyone like that. Or I don't think he'd ever do it to his mum or to his brothers or anything like that.
No, I think as fucked up as Aemon is, yeah, he wouldn't betray anybody. Like there's honor there. There's for a Hightower Targaryen. There's honor there.
Go back to the Laena's funeral episode. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like when Aegon's sitting there getting drunk, wanting to, I can't believe I have to marry my sister. And little Aemon is like, I would do my duty. Like I would, if that's what mother wanted me to do, I would do that. Like he very much wants to be that, but he's a second son.
He thinks he would be a way better king than Aegon, but he still brought Aegon to be crowned, That's his duty.
I want to see him feed Aegon to Vhagar. That's what I want to see. Chomp.
Yep.
Next to the throne. Right now, Aemond is like, I feel like that should have probably been addressed in this episode a little more. Aemond is next in line. If there's no MauLer, if there's no other son, Aemond is next in line for the throne right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Aemond is the Prince of Dragonstone.
So yeah, to not bring up succession when that's the entire first fucking season was about it. It's like, how did you forget that?
Maybe it's on its way, but yeah, I'm not looking to make excuses. It feels unusual for them to not get this all very tight. You'd think there would absolutely have been some reference, even in that scene where she says, "There's a lot of pressure on you. You're next in line," or something like that. But no.
I guess there's still time for Aegon and Helena to get busy. But
now, I do think that like that specifically about Aemond, I'm almost positive that will be addressed halfway through this season.
Also, I'm positively be addressed because I think that's why we haven't gotten the other son. That's got to be the storyline they're running with, which, we'll see how it goes.
Yep. This episode reeked of woman writer syndrome, especially the end scene.
So wait, which end scene now? We talking about the
Aegon crying.
Well, no, I would say the end scene with Kristen Cole.
Okay.
Like, yeah, this fucking. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of these women out there that are actually like fucked up in the head who think they want somebody who's like either willing to take abuse from them like that and still fuck them, or they actually want somebody like Aegon. They think they want that type of person, a bad boy that they can save. There's a lot of fucked up women that are going to be simping for different people in this show.
I feel like on Cole's end of it, they've properly justified it. He's got nothing left in terms of integrity, and he knows it. Like, so it's whatever. He's a doormat for her now. And then her doing it, I think the show is condemning her hardcore for these decisions, and she's aware of it too.
She became like definitely the bad guy this episode. She is the evil queen.
Well, no, I like the repeated sort of references to it all comes down to these shitty parents.
Yep.
In that scene when Alicent was in the bath, I was actually waiting for what's the guy with the gimpy leg? What's his name?
Laris.
I was waiting for Laris to walk in on it and do something. It's just like,
well, like he's probably. I still like the theory. I don't know if you've ever heard this one, Gary. I think you have. That Laris Strong is actually warging into rats, and that's how he knows everything that he knows, which is like such a wild fucking theory. But it like
Strongs have connection to the First Men.
Do have First Men blood, so like theoretically it might be possible. The idea of like a little warged rat hiding in the corner watching Alicent get fucked by Kristen Cole. I feel like we need that. That theory needs to become true.
I mean, they're doing it with fucking ravens all day long in the Song of Ice and Fire books. So
why not a rat?
Why not a rat? There's a face in the tree. There has to be somebody watching. Now it could be from the future. Okay, it could be Bran, could be Brendan Rivers, but
Bran's just like watching people get fucked and like masturbating in his wheelchair.
Yeah,
what you're saying.
Well, he can't, which makes it worse.
Just fucking rubbing a limp dick in his wheelchair, praying to the weirwoods that they give him back some life in that thing.
Can I warg into somebody with a working? Where's Hodor?
That's what he did with Hodor.
Oh my God.
He was just cranking Hodor's hog the entire time he was warging him.
How you doing, Chad?
Hodor.
Oh no.
Oh man. Where were we? Rhys Ifans and Tom Glenn Carney. That is all. Yeah, that is Aegon and Otto. They were fucking great this episode. Thank you, Sir Morehouse, for $1.99. Mikey Gusler. I really enjoyed this week's episode of House of the Dragon. Highlights were Rhaenyra and Daemon fighting, Otto being replaced as Hand of the King, and the brother duel at the end. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
I give it another 7 out of 10.
I'm sitting around a 7.
Yeah.
I would be in that realm as well.
Yep. But Mikey, I'm glad you loved it, man. I think a lot of people did. So that's great. I still like it.
Oh yeah, that's a high mark, and it's water in a drought. This is like
treasure in the trash for sure. They finally name dropped my favorite green, Daron. Can't wait to see Tessarion on screen. She is my favorite dragon by far, says Blue Jay for $5. We're supposed to get them all, like they said. We'll see.
We even see ones that we didn't really see. Like we'll see one next week that we didn't really see much of in the book.
Well, that was the whole pitch on this. This is why HBO like went ahead, is people love the dragons. Like the normies love the dragons, and like there's a fuckload of dragons in this. There's a lot of dragons. So you'll get it if you like that stuff. I do. The Desi Thinker for $20 says great Otto and Aegon scenes. Both actors were brilliant. They were. There were many issues with Eric and Attic scenes. Also, the dialogue between Rhaenyra and White Worm was a bit on the nose. Yeah, I thought that those were my least favorite scenes.
I mean, the dialogue for me was a mixed bag. There's some stuff I loved in it, and then some stuff I was like, oh, that was a bit. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Which I don't know if that's explained by the writer of the episode. Was they saying it was Sarah Hess?
Sarah Hess. Yeah.
Okay, I might have a look at that actually.
Yep. Pacing was all over the place for this one. 7 out of 10. I agree with that assessment. I do. Suber for 10 Australian dollars. By the way, we're rotating Australians for this. So we got Fringy and Shad. That, yeah. I mean, you all look the same to me. So
I know.
Whatever.
Damn.
Fringy's a bird and you lost to birds. So whatever. Suber for 10 Australian dollars. Haven't read the books. Is Rhaenyra presented as a self-righteous and kind of clueless as in the show? She behaves like her desire of power isn't responsible for bloodshed and violence. She's naive.
I think that's a pretty commonality with almost every character, is not realizing just how much all of their decisions over history are they all somewhat live in the moment, right? Like everyone rages the moment something horrible is done to them without considering why anyone has done anything. They're just like, fuck you, you slighted me, now I get to slight you. And then, it happens, and same thing in response. I don't find it particularly airheaded or anything. Self-righteous and clueless. Like, no, I wouldn't. I don't think of it that way.
I don't know if it's, I don't know if clueless is a good way to put it. She's someone who, like, in theory, she's been preparing for this for a while, right? But in reality, nobody ever really took her seriously. And I don't think she probably got a lot of the tutelage that she should have really to be able to take over because of that. I think a lot of these people have bent the knee to her. Imagine that somewhere along the way, Aegon was just going to have another son and name that son heir, and they were never actually going to have to serve Rhaenyra. And I think she's made a lot of bad decisions by not being aggressive right away, immediately aftermath, like Daemon recommended her to be. They could have done a lot of things in the immediate aftermath to move this forward more. And even when she comes back and she's mourning Lucerys, as fucked up as Daemon is sometimes, he has some great points. And what the conversation he had with Rhaenys in the beginning of the first episode, it's like, while my wife is mourning, or while a mother is mourning, the queen is abandoning her duties. And it's true. They lost a lot of very important couple days there with her going off and looking for her kid. And even when she gets back, everybody's giving them all these fucking reports. What does she say? Not acknowledge a single one of them. Instead says, I want Aemon Targaryen. So she is not fit to be a good leader right now. She's just not. She's made mistake after mistake.
Yeah. To answer your question, in the books, she's not around. She's still recovering from the stillbirth, and she's a mess. And the council's kind of going on their own in the books. So they changed that.
Looking into Sarah Hess, by the way, she wrote what I probably thought were the two weakest episodes of season 1, being 9 and 6.
Yep.
And then she also wrote 1 episode of Deadwood, by the way.
Yeah. Still Deadwood.
And she wrote 8 of Orange is the New Black. Never saw it, but
never saw that.
If it's so, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping maybe she doesn't get to write any more of season 2.
I think she has one more episode in this season, and I think Ryan Condal does the rest.
Yeah.
It's not that she clearly can write good scenes. I just also think that she has a higher rate of bad scenes.
Yep. I agree. Episode 9. Haven't read the books, so I read that one. Sorry. Mike Hill. Am I going to say Mike Hill or McHale?
McHale.
Mr. McHale. Or McHale. I don't know. For $10. Cole is a hypocrite. Yes. Accusing someone else disrespecting their oath while he's been fucking the queen on his watch. He fucked both. Well, he fucked a princess and a queen.
I would argue that's one of the more
props for fucking a princess and a queen. Okay.
And flops. Props and flops.
Flops.
Collecting accolades, that man, he kind of hold
Hand
them
to
all.
the king.
Is it credited to him, though? Because, Princess came onto him pretty hard at first, and he was just doing his job, and we don't know what caused him to start sacking up with Alicent, but I wouldn't put it past her for jumping on him. So
no, he had it in his
going
head
with
that
the flow.
she was going to go off with him off the Pentos.
Yeah,
or
his
whatever.
heart was broken. That
And
was
and he was going to be a sellsword, and
That was 100% Rhaenyra's fault. Fucking bitches be tripping, dude. Kristen Cole was like a good dude who like came from nothing, you know, impressed people, gets knighted, wins a tournament, beats Daemon Targaryen, selected for King's Guard when no one in his family has ever done shit before. And all it took was one dumb bitch who led him on to destroy his fucking life.
She wanted a boy toy and he wanted something wholesome and long lasting. And she's like, can't you just stick her out of me?
Maybe you should have had a fucking spine.
I would argue get over that shit. Okay. But like, okay.
Yeah, I know. He's holding
you're
on.
in love. You're in love, Gary. Okay.
He's holding on to that grudge pretty long.
There's always other fish in the sea. It was a princess. I know it was a
There's
princess.
no other fish. Well, I mean, there shouldn't be. He's a King's Guard, so there actually shouldn't be any other fish in the sea for him. But he somehow gets his hands on Allison's tuna, so I guess so.
He's still the best fighter in Westeros. He's the best fighter in Westeros.
He's also seemingly immortal because he hasn't aged a day.
Yeah, he's the one guy who hasn't aged. Yes.
Like when he makes that appearance, it was episode 6, right? The age up, when young Rhaenyra turns to Rhaenyra that's just had her third kid, when they walk up and she goes to take it to Alicent, and like he just like pops out of the shadows and he looks exactly the fucking same.
They could have given him gray hair or done something. I just don't know why they left it.
Oh God, Clegane Bowl, Cargill Bowl, let's go! Hey, Cargill Bowl was way more satisfying than fucking Clegane Bowl. Jesus Christ!
Don't remind me.
That I think that sequence was really good. I was like, because I was wondering what am I going to be disappointed again, like I was with Blood and Cheese. I thought this one was better than what we got in the book.
Yes,
just
agreed.
in terms of how emotional and dramatic it was,
and then the fight.
And the way it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was rough.
One little detail. That's all they had to do. Don't understand why they did that. Megator, thank you for the 10 euros. Mini Galen for $2. I like how Shad needed no edit for the thumbnail.
That's right.
No.
You could just insert me into the Game of Thrones world, though I'm not sure I'd want to go into that world. Then I can fit within there quite, because I'm one of the nice guys, so that means I'm totally screwed.
Somebody asked that on Twitter. It's like, what part of Westeros would you want to live in? Fucking none. No part of it whatsoever.
I don't know, man. Put me on the wall. At least I'll be.
I know. Yeah, the wildlings are more like there's more liberty with the wildlings than anywhere else.
No, yeah, let me go to Dorne. I'll go to Dorne.
Dorne? Where you just sip your Dornish wine, your piss wine, and
go play in the fountains. Fuck anybody you want.
Fuck anybody you want. Yeah. They're really nice to their bastards over there.
They are. They're cool.
Yeah. Shout out to Alan of Huldrill. Sorry. For you have not seen what I have seen. Yes, I caught that line. You see what I'm saying? No.
We didn't talk about it, I guess, but we did see him looking at sea smoke. Obviously.
Yeah, we talked about it a little.
I guess we mentioned it
when he picked up the crab. Yeah, there's sea smoke flying over.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that means, Ryan.
I don't know.
Roland New for $4.99. Thank you. Says great acting this episode. The tension like this is why I loved season 1 of Game of Thrones. Multiple great scenes. Daemon, Rhaenyra, Otto, Aegon, Eric, and Eric. You got to say it with the kind of rolling the R's a little bit. 8.5 out of 10. All right. Glad you liked it. Kyle Vernon for $4.99. Sarah Hess wrote Aegon killing a few rat catchers, blowing their lead. Some person who wrote Rhaenyra's killing hundreds and others and never mentions it. Rhaenys killing hundreds and never mentions it. Yeah. So
maybe she learned her mistake. As in like consequences of actions, you know?
Now that you point that out, that makes the scene from episode 9 even fucking worse. Because like Otto would go, hey, that bitch just stepped on a bunch of small folk. We could use that to our advantage. See what happens?
Rhaenys has betrayed the realm. She's killed thousands of innocent children.
Rhaenys the Slayer.
He actually did. He did talk about it in this episode, and the way he presented it, he felt like it made Aegon look weak. The fact that they let that happen while there were so many people there. They
What
did
was
address
what were they supposed
that,
to fucking
yeah.
do? Like capture her with her dragon? Stop you there! Get off your dragon!
Well, yeah, it all
All
happened
people
because
are really
they got
dumb.
betrayed by another king's guard. That's not exactly, I can buy the angle that it shows some level of weakness, but if you're going to acknowledge that, you have to acknowledge what it does to Rhaenys and her reputation.
Yeah. Like everybody would go and thank God they passed over her for queen. Fuck.
Exactly. And you know what? That's like really great conflict just sitting on the fucking table. And we said it last time, but I really hope they don't let it go to waste, which I have a feeling they might.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're gonna have enough time to really address it specifically.
It's a line, Ryan. Just a line
Dude,
from
it's a
any
line they
character.
could talk about right now. You send a letter out to all the lords of Westeros and they read, Rhaenys stomped small folk on her way out and killed hundreds. And now we have Rhaenyra, her direct relative, going into the Red Keep in the middle of the night like a fucking coward and becomes a kinslayer. You're a kinslayer, and you did it in the most dishonorable way, and you kill a child. Like most of the houses will be all even fucking
the
House
story
Stark will
writes
be all
itself
fuck no.
how shit Rhaenys is right now.
Yep. Maybe they'll talk about it. Maybe they won't. Tasha Glam, thank you for the $1.99. I appreciate it, Tasha. Viking Beach Bum for $5. The episode was Otto Hightower's love letter to King Viserys the First.
Like I said, I got a sense that he genuinely was like, "Fuck, I miss him. Things were better with him."
Like, God, it was so easy to manipulate him.
Yeah.
I know. He was so much easier to deal with. He did everything I said.
I just had the Maesters continue to give him milk of the poppy.
Yep.
I miss those days.
Uh-huh.
No, but it does feel like there is a genuine, like, he's sad that the king is dead overall.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not enough to make him stop
I mean, well,
all his bullshit.
let's be honest. He would feel it's the best time for the realm because he gets to basically control everything. Viserys was in bed, and then he makes all the decisions. That selection of however many years was probably the golden age for Otto. He was probably very happy.
Yeah.
Otto
He fucking walked his ass out there for Rhaenyra.
Got to sit on the throne at times. Did he actually? Well, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the king is active but not available, I guess.
That's right. And he says, "I shall sit the throne today," or something.
Mm-hmm.
Otto, another second son.
That's
a big deal. Yeah.
Second sons are a big deal in Game of Thrones
Yep.
because they inherently, like, just by happenstance, you're not entitled to shit. You know, you don't get that inheritance. You're not viewed as the heir. You're treated completely different. You're not worthy of marrying off to somebody for this or that. Your value is so much less just because of that. It's almost as bad as being a woman, you know?
Yep.
Like,
could you imagine?
yeah. I mean, in Westeros, obviously.
Yeah.
Woman in Westeros.
Slain Hope for $2 says this episode ended with a bang, a finger bang.
He did.
We've
now seen them fucking. We've seen him eating her out, and we've seen them doing a little finger action.
Yeah.
They're covering all their bases here.
Almost all.
Got a few moves left.
There's a couple left.
Yeah.
Tasha Glam for $4.99. Sir Kristen Cole is probably the greatest example of failing upwards I've seen. Yes. He's like your average Hollywood producer.
Even he doesn't believe it.
No, he's like, what? Ava Marie Moon for $5. Hello, Ava. BRB got to finish the episode. Sadly, we'll be like 20 minutes behind, but thank you for doing these live streams again. I really look forward to them. Hail to you. I was looking forward to this all day.
But we're just haters, Gary. We just want to hate on everything. This is just
I did see that on Twitter. It was like, do you ever do any videos on things you like? And you're like, yes.
Here you go. He's all, yeah, but it's like, whatever. Okay. I'm sure he watched it all the way through. Our 3-hour mostly love fest of the episode. Bass player 2011 iffy for $10. This chat is full of slow people. If you want action, go watch season 8. I don't know about that.
I agree with his principle of if you just want to see action sequences, watch the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones.
They're not even good action sequences.
Yeah, they're not.
I know they're not.
This was better than the premiere. All the politics intrigue that made me fall in love with the show Game of Thrones is here. They definitely went back to that, and they needed to. I'll tell you that. I I don't know.
I don't know if this one's better than the premiere. I don't think they're too far off. Like I said, I think there's some sequences here that were better than we saw in the first. I think there's more criticisms I have of this episode as a whole than I did of the first. But I agree with the general sentiment. I think people, as Game of Thrones got so big, I think a lot of people lost what made it so special in the beginning.
Yes.
And it was not the fight sequences. It was not, oh my God, a dragon. It was characters interacting with each other in this world and figuring out who was going to get the upper hand and win.
And when they had a battle sequence, Battle of the Blackwater, they very slowly built up to it and it delivered. The Battle of Blackwater is fucking awesome. Like,
my favorite episode was the Watchers on the Wall. I adore that whole episode is fantastic.
Absolute banger.
And it's so sad because, Game of Thrones, like season 1, they couldn't even afford certain battle sequences, right? So they have to move around them. And that's the season, along with the earlier ones, that got it to where it is. And then they start being like, can't wait for the big action thing of this season, whatever it may be. It's like, oh, that's not.
Then we get to the Battle of the Bastards where it's just fucking bodies piled up inexplicably. Like, how the fuck did that even happen? But I think you can temper that with not like a battle scene, but we got an action scene. We did. I thought I've got to satisfy with the Cargill twins.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it. So action wise, I think that satisfied it.
Well, and I think you're right. There's a lot of meaning to take out of it for those characters, but then also broadly, that's what this whole story is.
Mm-hmm. But not to worry. There's big battle-y things to come. I don't want to build them up too much, though. I've already been burned once. I'm not gonna do that again. Acolyte exposition be like, Gary, you used a drug addict when you were in prison, got married, got divorced, got a comic shop, relapsed, sold the comic shop, got sober, and now you are gay. Exactly. That's my life. You just described it perfectly in one scene.
I see the end there with the season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But genuinely, that's what Acolyte does. Like the opening dialogues of the last episode was just characters telling other characters their motivations. In fact, it's like we already know that. It was so bad.
Yes. Wrong set of twins died. It should have been the Acolytes, says Birch. There
are a lot of twins in Game of Thrones in general.
There are. But man, they couldn't put in another Tyrion-like character like Mushroom for levity. I don't know. I think Mushroom's a great character. Mushroom's the most interesting thing in that fucking Fire and Blood read. Like,
I don't think Mushroom should be like a character that we actually have any interactions with, but I feel like he should be in like the background of like different scenes. I don't think he needs to have a speaking role in House of the Dragon at all. I just think you need to show that he's present for a few things.
Winner of episode 2, Kristen Cole, again, new hand to the king and did Hawktail on Queen Alicent. That says Big E for $5. We were talking about that on Forbidden Frontier. I don't think I've ever seen a meme like happen so fast and die as quick a death, because I think it's totally overdone now. Like in a 24-hour period, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it got just too much. Like, because I saw that meme a few days before starting to take off on Instagram. There was some Instagram reel. It was so stupid. The one that I saved was Molly Weasley when she realizes that Ginny could date Harry Potter and officially make him a member of the family. And it's like, you got to give him that huck too and spit on that thing. that was the meme.
What?
And I was like, that's funny. Okay, Molly wants Harry. Yeah. Okay, that's funny. And then it just exploded on Twitter like 2 days later, and everybody overdid it.
Right?
Now I'm fucking sick and tired of that bitch.
Sick and tired of it. Did they really have a character say, you have not seen what I have seen? Yes, but it meant a lot more in this.
Context could make something work.
It absolutely does make something work. And I wonder if they threw it in as a little dig. I mean, it's not like there isn't a rivalry between the show. It's just totally doesn't exist. They just they just mushroom stamp each. Well, fucking HBO mushroom stamps fucking Amazon every time they put a fucking trailer out. They either make an announcement or respond with a trailer. It's like there's no rivalry between these shows.
Also, it was the context of made that so dumb in Rings of Power, because Elrond replies, "I've seen enough," and then she answers with the exact same line, and it's like, that you already said that.
Okay,
You're
not going to get into the lore here, but at that point in time, he had seen fucking plenty. Okay, so he'd go, "Actually, I have." Okay,
and then she just responds with, "You have not seen what I have seen." It's like, shut up, you stupid arrogant cow.
What would have fixed that is if he again said, "Yeah, I have though."
Yeah, I have.
It just, and then it goes back to her again. He's just like, "How long are we doing this for?"
Yeah. No, I love that super cut online where she just does it forever. Have you ever seen that? It's fucking hilarious.
But it makes her character look so dumb because she's just repeating herself. That's what makes it stupid. It's not the actual words themselves. They can be used in a good way.
No,
it's just
this one actually, no, this line does mean something. Absolutely does. Matt Murphy for $4.99. All right, I read that one. And Slain Hope for $2 says Hightower raised rejects 4 grandchildren. His bad. I mean, he does acknowledge that he raised a bunch of fucking retarded children. He does. He's like, yes, and it's his fault. It is. For someone who didn't read the books, I like the suspense and the buildup for what is to come. I wanted more action, but it's keeping the allure so strong. What a contrast from Rings of Power. Holy shit. Yeah, like this is believable characters, good acting, good directing. That's, I mean, it sounds simple, but apparently it's not these days.
I love that it's not predictable, that they're willing to, something curveball comes in, throws the story, or things happen that's going to change the trajectory and has deep implications. And so when it happens, you get that wow factor because you think about what that implies and what it's going to do for the rest of the story. And sometimes it turns things completely on a whole different path than what you're expecting. And that is engaging storytelling. That's awesome. So that's what I'm loving about this at the moment.
Thank you, Rybo. For $9.99. Daniel Gray for $5. Chris Gore and Robert Burnett look like they could be Targaryens. Products of years of incestual Targaryen relations.
That's good.
That is good. And you're not wrong. I can argue with that at all. Chat always wins. Chris is probably watching too. And the only way you could tell the difference between the two is the slur.
You're right. Chris Cole does use more slurs than Robert does.
Yes, he does.
True,
Well, he does. That kind of slur too. Apex Caliber says, like I said, episode 4 will be interesting. Without saying anything, yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Well, hopefully the whole season will be interesting.
I think it will. What I'm curious about, what Ryan's curious, because we are getting surprised about this. That's the cool thing is we know the setup from the book, but we don't know like how certain things were set up, and we don't necessarily know the result all the time. So it is surprising, and that's kind of the coolest part.
Like,
and the most frustrating part about reading the book.
We have very clear expectations about what we think is going to happen, whereas these guys, they have expectations of what they think, but they don't have any clear ones. It's just based on what they think the show's been leading them to.
Yep.
Whereas ours aren't necessarily always based on that. They're based on other things as well.
I think this was sort of mentioned the last week, but like that's deliberate at this point. The way I prefer to consume this story is through the TV show rather than the book at this juncture, especially being if it's an account from people, talking about history as opposed to a told story. But yeah, like it's going to be interesting to hear as we go, where it's deviating and stuff.
Yeah. Like if you started watching the show, say you watch season 1, you're like, hey, I want to go read the book. I would say don't. I think you like as it stands right now, you are better off watching the show. It's a better version of the story. Like overall, like 100 times. The book is so frustrating because you don't know if you're reading the truth or not. And I know it's fiction. And I just thought like George just fucking off. It's a little self-indulgent, right? It's like, I'd rather get the official version of events. I don't want to be like, I don't want my fake story to be like fake. I want like, oh, I'm reading a fake story that may or may not be the events of this complete fake story. It's like, fucking A, Jesus Christ. Just finish fucking wins a winner. God damn it.
Have you seen a lot of speculation of people saying he's done with it? There's
Yeah.
been a bunch of videos the past week.
Where does it come from? What's the evidence?
There was a party planned at his publisher in London that was supposed to be like some rap party or something like that for the book. I'm getting some of those details wrong, but it's something like that. That's what started the rumor.
There's people that think at the end of the season he'll announce it.
He'll announce it when he's done. When he's done and it's off, when he hands it off to the editor, his manuscript, he will fucking announce it. And that could be at 2:00 in the morning. He will, because he did that last time. So I don't think he'll wait. Like when he's done, I think the first thing he'll want to do is tell everybody he's fucking done so they'll get off his fucking back. Like, seriously. So do not hold out any hope of the book coming out this year or ever. Just don't. And if it does, it's a pleasant surprise. But like, it's coming out this year, dude. I remember that in 2015. 15. Okay. Shit. Great line from Rhaenyra this episode. I want to highlight, I think you used my words as an excuse to take your own revenge to indulge the darkness. You keep seethed within your blade, like your blade. Sheath. I can't read.
Sheep Palpatine.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot of rage. He's got a lot of reason for that, but
don't call it a problem.
Don't call it a problem.
It's got
no,
rage.
he thinks the Targaryens are superior. He thinks all of his siblings are fucking up constantly. And a lot of times he's right. He's just, it's his behavior and it, like we all work with
like Daemon identifies a lot of things about this world and knows that certain things need to take place. He can kind of predict and see like what might happen if you don't take a strong stance here, a strong stance there. But despite him being able to see a lot of these things, oftentimes the actions he takes are the wrong ones.
Yeah. He has a pragmatic perspective and emotional responses. So,
yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
But thank you, Key Lime Kayla, for $10. What's up, my sober sister? Grendel Vivat for 100. Thank you. House of Dragons season 2 episode 2. Daemon refuses responsibility. Otto learns that grass isn't always greener. Twins fight a civil war in a microcosm. Aegon is human too late, and Allison and Kristen explore kink. One of these things is not like the others. All in all, pretty good television. I agree. Because this is the way where we have thoroughly unlikable characters that are engaging, that you still kind of root for. I guess they've made Rhaenyra way more likable than she was in the book.
Well, not that she was necessarily unlikable. She was not unlikable at this point in time. She wasn't.
She just wasn't there.
Maybe later she may. We'll see. But.
Yeah. But she wasn't around. Like at this point, they're just telling you what's going on with Kristen Cole. Like pretty much everything you saw without Rhaenyra. That's what they're talking about.
Even Aegon isn't like the story becomes a little bit more about all the auxiliary people that are on this side or on that side that are fighting in these battles than it is about the actual leaders themselves.
No, they said Aegon just becomes a drunk. He starts drinking strong wine, which again, I like the approach in the show 1,000 times better. Who knew Fringy's sigil is the covetous plague doctor, and his words are, the goo is always right. But what about everything else? What about everything else? Says James Bursey for $5.
Everyone else?
Everyone else? Did I read that wrong? Everyone else. I don't know. But what about everyone else? Why is Aemon Targaryen skinny as an AIDS patient actor in Hollywood? Targaryens are skinny. They are like wiry. They can get fat too. Don't get me wrong, but they're very fair haired. They're the elves of A Song of Ice and Fire. All right.
He looked really skinny though. Yeah.
Yeah. He looked real.
I saw all the memes of fucking like the Voldemort. More baby. There's a lot of memes about that going around.
Dude, a lot of actors are like unhealthily skinny. Okay. Look at David Tennant. Look at he said something controversial on Twitter. And then somebody's like, he's like, you have to go through me. I won't say what for. And somebody would say, I'd take that more seriously from a guy who wasn't built like a bird, like a baby bird. You know, it's true. But yes, he's very skinny. Most actors are. Aren't Aegon the Younger and Viserys far too young at this point? They're 9 and 7 at the start of the dance, if I recall correctly. Maybe a time jump.
No, they've
$4.99.
They've condensed the time frame from the entire Dance of the Dragon story from about 30 years to 20 years, and that's why there's no MauLer. That's why Aegon and Viserys are so young. I have a lot of questions about how young they are, though, because that brings a lot of questions up for me about something that will happen probably in season 3. So,
how's everybody doing? You guys all right? Everybody need to check out?
I might need a bounce pretty soon.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but I'm having a good time, man. So.
All right. This is a great I Lucifer 1999 for $2 What has 2 legs and bleeds? Ryan knows the answer to this. He doesn't want to answer though.
Half a pussy? What is that supposed to mean? Half a dog?
I think it's half a bitch, right?
Half a bitch?
Half a bitch. I don't know. It's a terrible. Just don't give us punchlines with emojis, because I don't read fluid emoji. I apologize, but I'm 54. I do not read fluid emoji and never will. Ethan Rackham for $5. Prediction: when Graham McTavish returns, if he does, he will think Rhaenyra ordered the baby murder. How do you think Rhaenyra reaction will be? I don't know if Graham McTavish will return.
I don't know.
I really want him to, but they'd have to account for it now. He's been gone for too long.
Well,
not really. Not a ton of time has passed. Like the impression to me is that it has been a few weeks since Viserys died at this point. You know, like 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah, things have been
maybe
moving
less.
pretty fast.
So you just assume he's been pondering.
Yeah, it's like maybe not sure what he should do. Like, I don't feel like it would be crazy for him to show up now.
No,
you know,
like he could show up on Dragonstone. Rhaenyra's down a Kingsguard now, so she'll need another
they
one.
could just pull a full Barristan and have him like kind of following and seeing like what happens and tracking to see if he thinks that this is somebody he wants to serve. Like blah blah blah. Who fucking knows?
Yeah, he won't be in this season though. I know that for a fact because he said he wasn't coming back. So for this season. Kyle Vernon for
his character is dead in the book.
Yes,
like his character doesn't like have this cool like moral stance. He's just not there when all that shit goes down at the Council of Greens.
Yep. Does anyone, including chat, know which dragon Adam saw leaving Driftmark? Rhaenys was on Dragonstone. Who was on Driftmark? Did the writer forget? No,
that's 100% Sea Smoke.
Sea Smoke. Yep. Big Worm for $5. Hail. Hey, Shad.
Hello.
Would knights like this have dinner wearing full armor? Seems like a lot of weight to chill with. Love good content. Live long and prosper.
Well, the answer is generally no. Armor is very uncomfortable, though not as bad as people think. The times when they would be wearing it, like on the march and stuff, is when there's, possible battle ahead. And so it was half and half. More often they would pack their armor and just carry it. But on the rare occasion, certain soldiers and even knights might wear their armor while moving. But outside of that, it's when they knew battle was about to happen. That's when they'd get the kit on.
All right. Auto lecturing Aegon was delicious. It was. I lose for $19.99. We can agree on that. Thank you for $2 Jasper Lane for 50. Love this episode. As a book purist, this episode was fantastic. Overall, my thoughts on the first season are pretty negative. Really? Okay. And my opinion on the last episode are not any better. This episode was fantastic, though. Might be the best of the series. But season 1, episode 8 is also good. I think that's the greatest. 8. Yeah.
I think 8. I think 8 for most people is probably like the standout episode of the series. Better than this
really
one,
good.
I think.
Really good. But hey, yeah, better than this one, but this one isn't shit. So
yay.
There you go. Yay. I'll watch again. I'll watch it again. I'm fine with what's going on in this series. I would have, I got a couple nitpicks, but I had some nitpicks in the early part of season 1 too. I did. You know what I don't is not a nitpick at all is the time jumps. I have no problem with them. It really moves well. If you want on the rewatch, it's fine.
Really well done considering I feel like some of the challenges they had to do.
Yep.
And they're not giving you like a 2 years and 6 months later, like fucking on the bottom. You just have to kind of pick it up how much time has passed by what the characters are talking about.
Jeff Atkins for $5. What time is it for MauLer and Shad? Thanks for being here despite the hour. Love the conversations right after the show. Cheers. Well, it's not bad for Shad.
Yeah, it's not bad for me at all. I'm pretty good.
It's nearing 6 a.m. for me now.
God, do you need to go?
Wait.
I'm okay.
Sure? Hey, we only have 6 more weeks to go, MauLer. It's all right.
That's not good. I want this to go on forever. It's fun.
I do. It is fun. It is. Carrier buff for $2. There is also the cannibal. Yes, the cannibal. Well, I hope they show the cannibal. I hope they do. Just because I like seeing big old dragons. Black good, green bad. This show is lame, says Fernando Corona.
I disagree completely.
199. Like black, you certainly like the black more than the green for good reason, but neither of them.
Mistakes are being made, and I think from the show's perspective, it was like pushing us toward black, but now it's starting to maybe just just try and introduce some like it's a little bit more complicated than that. And Otto getting booted from hand while making very clear his motives in this episode, I feel like was another attempt to try and say you may think he's a monster, but he was trying to do what's best, sort of thing. They did this in I want to say episode 4 of season 1. Otto gets booted after all the conniving and the planning and stuff, but then on his exit, he basically tells his daughter she's gonna come for you and you need to be prepared, and then he's gone. And it gives you a strong sense of like, wait, was he like a good guy? Was he actually like looking out for people? It was And I think you're supposed to ask these questions about both sides, because it's Rhaenyra's responsibility to ensure each of her components for her army and her council are doing things they're supposed to do, not running off killing babies. And so when they do,
that's when things get bad.
Yeah, and like it very much does damage her. Like she's talking like even my council thinks that I had a role in this. Even the people that are supposed to be closest to me now look at me a different way because of this happening, because they think I ordered it, let alone all the people out there in the realm that have far less context. So what happens very much does damage her reputation by allowing that shit to run wild. I like the real test. I do think they're doing a little too much to make you empathize with Rhaenyra and side with Rhaenyra. And I just hope that as we go through the show, if there ever does come a time where the blacks have the upper hand and Rhaenyra gets to be in power and make some decisions, that they show that she's not really ready for this and she really shouldn't be a ruler either.
Yep. And what
I really thought they were going to have her kill the worm, and that would be one of the first significant decisions of her just being like, I'm not going to take the risk. You're gone. Even though I feel kind of bad about it, it's whatever. Never mind.
I thought it was going to be the twin that survived. Like when I was when I was watching it, I thought it was all leading up to a situation where they they lost track of which one was which, and he was claiming, no, it's me, it's Sir Eric, it's not my brother, I saved you. She's like, I can't take this chance, and kills him. That
wouldn't make sense though. Like I said,
I mean, you could ask him questions. Yeah.
Apocalypsagon or Aegon. A gun for $5. Hey Ryan, counter your point on the Greens. They all cut their palms and swore loyalty to one another during the beginning of the coup in the book.
What was my point about? My point about the Greens is they're all fucking like insane and hate each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if that countered. I don't remember what I said, I guess.
I think that's the Westeros equivalent of, they even mention this in the book. That is the Westeros equivalent of trust me, bro. So signing things in ink and like blood oaths is usually looked upon as I wouldn't trust this mofo. Miss Martin Muses, thank you for the 99-cent super sticker. Cheers.
What's up, Miss Martin Muses?
Hail. Like when Stannis in the bonus chapter for Tyrion, when he's signing for the Iron Bank, he's signing for all the money and he signs in blood. And it's pointed out in that chapter, like, yeah, that's, signing it, like anybody who signs in blood, the Tyrion signs in blood too. It's usually people you shouldn't trust. There is no gray area anymore. Who cares? Says Fernando Corona for $1.99. I do.
I think you've completely like misread anything about this show, Fernando.
There's more gray area than there ever has been.
Yeah, this is pretty gray.
I don't know. Like, if someone said who should win, I'm like, why? Let's
who should win?
Lionel.
Jace,
Well,
Jace should win.
That's the whole thing about Rhaenyra, though, right? Like, despite Viserys naming her as heir, one, it completely throws out years and years of, tradition and law that they had established. But also, what did she do while she was heir? She fucking slept around. She has heirs that are not her husbands. She should not be a ruler.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's made a lot of fucking mistakes.
This, by the way, is what I was talking about earlier. With none of this gets remembered by these characters when the modern slights are done, when the modern errors are made. They don't think about all the histories. We get to enjoy that and see it and analyze it, break it down. Like, how did this all come to be? And that's why I think we can't lay anyone off the hook for the most part. Each of these characters, that's why we're shown all these scenes, has a nature of pushing certain blocks into place that have led to the structures we see falling apart now. That's good shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Vince Aegon, Otto Hightower, you're fired. This is Romulo Garcia. Roland, new for $1.99. What did the DJ name his son? Eric.
I think he means like Eric.
I
think that's what he's going
Rick,
for.
Rick. Really?
Not Eric.
Eric.
What did the DJ name his son? Eric.
Supposed to go. I didn't know that's the sound for it's Wooka, not Eric.
Eric. I don't know.
I don't listen to
I think that's
hip.
what he's going for.
I don't listen to fucking I'm a hip hop expert, Ryan. I don't listen to shit. Okay. Fucking listen to that. Larry Escher for $5. Why does no one in this show yell guard when attacked in a castle? I fucking don't know.
I was asking that.
Rhaenyra did.
Yeah.
She said go and fetch to whatever.
Yeah.
If she'd started screaming her ass off,
Yeah.
Best part was
I think it's fair to say there was nobody outside the door like after Eric like bursts in to stop him or whatever. Like I don't know, but yeah.
Best part was when Eric said it's Eric time. Then Eric all over the castle. The castle. They did. They Eric. Still waiting to see if Harold Westerling is going to show up to try and keep spoilers minimal. He's now a wild card. Oh yeah, he is. And what Ryan just said, he dead in the books. So that's kind of a big character. Like Graham McTavish is a big actor to not bring back, right? For him to come in and just play this kind of side part really well, by the way, and waste his fucking time in The Witcher. I would fuck The Witcher, Graham. Come back to House of the Dragon.
There was somebody that said that they thought he was spotted on set or something.
Really? Yeah. Well, maybe they've learned to keep some secrets on the set. Dude, it was like, it's probably not as bad. It's not as bad now, but like the last 3 seasons when they were filming, there was fuckers hiking to the top of mountains with telephoto lenses and hanging off cliffs so they could get fucking spoiler pictures for fucking Game of Thrones.
Just to post it to Reddit. It's like, what the fuck? It was great. I mean, it was entertaining, but yeah. Darren, the daring confirmed. Glad he wasn't cut. I was glad to hear that too. I was very glad to hear that. I'm like, okay, at least we got one son. But MauLer, like, not being there is fucking. I'm like, hoping they explain it. He doesn't have much going on for him after that happens. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It does affect succession or the succession 100%. But outside of that, it's not like the most important thing.
Well, as MauLer says, a sentence. It's all we really need is a sentence.
Acknowledging that Aemond is now the next in line for the throne.
Yeah. Tour for 10 euros. Black, green, who cares? No side has the moral high ground. They're the same to the small folk and other nobles. And while they have sides based on who or what, the rest of the world burns. Yep.
That's literally the point of the entire
Yeah,
the Song of
That
Ice
is
and
the
Fire
message
series.
of the
So,
story. Yes.
Congratulations. Yeah.
For me, it keeps shifting. Like the coup that the Greens did before they actually started murdering people, I would have said they kind of have some part of the moral high ground, just because Alicent wasn't screwing up too much and all the mistakes that Rhaenyra did. But then it's when the Greens started to really do some dodgy stuff. Now it's who knows, right? But still, the murdering of the child in the crib, that actually shifts, because Aemond, he killed the other brother. It was mostly on accident, though. This one was more direct murder that pushed me a bit further away from the blacks with that one.
Well, and Damon's saying it was a mistake. Like, I'm inclined to think he meant the whole thing. That was a bad move, especially in the notion of we're just getting revenge. You want it to be strategic at the very least, right? Killing a baby it's not gonna like really change the war that much in the sense of you winning anything.
Apex Caliber for $1.99. Should they do an Aegon the Third versus Viserys the Second sequel show? We're gonna get a sequel show to this, but I don't think it's gonna be we're getting Dunk and Egg, then we're getting the Conquest, which I would
Dunk and Egg technically is a sequel series just by the point of where it's at the timeline.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's in between this show and Game of Thrones, and it does cover a very interesting period in the background of kind of what and in the foreground, honestly, of something that's going on that I don't want to ruin for anybody. But Aegon's Conquest, which would be, I mean, aside from knowing some battles, there's so little we know about it. It could be a really good show if done right. For sure. I'd love to see Robert's Rebellion too. I think that'd be fun.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Fuck yeah. Little Big Dig Bobby out there.
I want to see
Bobby up on the trident.
God, with his Warhammer. Fuck yeah.
I want to see him just
Battle
take
of the
out
Bells.
that little punk bitch Rhaegar.
Yeah.
Just fucking put his ass in the water.
Redo the Tower of Joy properly,
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Ride the Guy for $5. Kristen Cole has two abilities that nobody else seems to have. He has mastered the art of dumb luck and failing upwards. Yes. And fucking royals. He's really good at it.
Alicent keeps coming back for more, so he must be doing something right.
I mean, there's also an element of just if he refuses, what even happens?
Well, there's that as well.
You damn straight, Mechator, for €5. That dog ended up in a bowl of brown. We pretend the meat is chicken, but we all know what it isn't.
It's true.
It's so true. It's either it's rat or dog.
Bowl of brown. Yeah. Yes. Shit. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. The sun. By the way, you guys know everybody knows what a bowl of brown is.
It's
the stuff you get in Flea Bottom. Yeah, it's the food you get in Flea Bottom.
It's just like fucking stew that nobody knows what the fuck is in it. So it might be people. Like it might be dog.
Well, Singer's stew, remember, with Tyrion? Mm-hmm. So it was people at one point. The Sundowners Club for $10. Pull up a screenshot of what Rhaenyra is reading in the library on Dragonstone when Missouri is brought in. Oh, you know what? I'm
pretty sure like it was just on there for a second, but it looked to me like it was because one was like it looked like Aegon, Rhaenys, and Visenya, and then the next page just looked like Visenya on Vhagar with Dark Sister. So I don't know specifically what he was reading about, but it looked like she was reading about Visenya, which might give you an indication of maybe where her mind is headed for the rest of this.
Yes. I'm trying to see. I probably have to see this in my home theater.
Shad's got to bounce.
Shad,
I got to head out because I still need to film my review and get that edited and out before the day is done over here in the land of Oz. So that's what I got to go.
Get her done. Thanks, Shad.
Goodbye. It's been heaps of fun, guys. Can't wait to do it again. I will catch you
in a couple weeks, brother.
See you, Shad.
See ya.
Yeah, the image has, and this is funny because I can speculate the least, but also the way without any book thing, because the image is it Visenya with Vhagar?
Mm-hmm.
And she looks like she's burning a place with roses.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like High Garden or
It
somewhere around
could
there.
be, yeah. Well, I don't know if Visenya's the one that went there.
Dude, there's fucking there's you could actually read this if I
You look
wasn't
like
on
you're
my
looking at the fucking sun.
dude, because I got my light is right there, so I can't see my screen. So I do that so I can see my screen. Well, I am looking in the fucking sun. There's a fucking studio light staring me right in the face. There is text I can't read, but you could definitely read the text on this. Like if I went to my King
it's about the
Aegon had
Dornish.
already proved himself.
It's about the Dornish War.
Yeah, so it's in Dorne. Well, Dorne didn't go down so well. Just gonna say that.
But it went fine for her there. It didn't go well for his other wife, for Aegon's other wife.
Yeah.
But I do think that is supposed to be Visenya because it's a woman on a dragon with a sword. Visenya had Dark Sister. I'm pretty sure it's Vhagar.
Yeah, it is Vhagar for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do the Tyrells play a part in this? Just thinking of the flowers and stuff. Maybe not. Hail, Lord of the Long, King of the Boomers, Duke of Bigotry, and Bitch of the Emu. I'm sorry you missed that one. Nick the Greek for $4.99. Hail to you. Josh Kelsey has dropped $20 and walks away because that's what he does. The NYC Geek for $20 says House of the Dragon even nails the Battle of the Twins better than the Acolyte ever could. Is there anything that travesty of a show can do right? End.
Yeah. They get the credits mostly okay. Like accurate.
Yeah. Like
So
Kiadi
the
Mundi,
Acolyte, it's got that going for it.
like when they said Kiadi Mundi was
Yeah.
in the show. Oh, dude. The only reason I'm still watching, still not for the Blacks, is because I feel that the writers want me to root for them, and my oppositional defiance is kicking in. This is Sir Marhouse for $4.99. We all have that, by the way, and root for whoever you want. Just know whoever you're going to root for is going to do something bad.
I get the fun of it, but it's really not the Blacks and the Greens that I have to choose a side for me. I'm really watching this as they're all characters and they're all moving around, and I'm just seeing how it all shakes out.
It's a popcorn meme. Like, we're not here rooting for people. We're just here for the
Well, I assume you guys have come across it. A lot of people say they don't like the show because there's no one to root for. It's not really a problem for me. I'm interested in how they've built all these people with their values and flaws and, praiseworthy elements of their characters. And I'm just, I'm curious how all the interactions will go and what the repercussions of all the actions will be, just standard sort of stuff. I don't need a hero paragon character that's going to save the day, I guess.
Yeah, it's like these are, as much as we complain about some kind of like the deconstruction like elements and everything, this is one of those series where you're not gonna get this stereotypical fucking hero, right?
No,
like for the most part, you're not gonna get that. You're going to get a lot of misery, a lot of bad things happening, a lot of people having to choose one bad decision over another for what they feel like is the right reasons at the time. And at the end of the day, the only people to really root for are the poor people that have nothing to do with any of this shit and are just trying to live their lives and survive to the next day.
The twins very likely saw them both themselves as like a hero paragon type, and it's all that POV stuff. I was also just thinking, if I was assassinating her, I probably would have not drawn my sword when I was many meters away.
Yeah.
Probably would have said, Your Grace, it's covered. You have to, and then pull out a knife and just stab.
At the dock, there was trouble.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like he feels really
conflicted
and shitty. The idea, like, it's one thing to go up and fucking murder someone. I'm talking about like different levels of pretty fucked up things to do. But for him to show his sword and her knowing what's happening, what's about to happen, feels a little different than her walking up to her and stabbing her in the back. Both are pretty fucked up, though. I don't know.
Well, there's a couple situations in season 1 where the guards are kind of put in an impossible position, the King's Guard, because they're supposed to protect the king and his family. And if they're fighting each other, it's like, what the fuck do you do? You know?
That's what he says. That's what he says in season 1, right?
Yes.
To Daemon.
Well, when
season 2.
In episode 1,
yeah,
when he's referencing the events of season 1,
Yep. So that was foreshadowing. Obviously, Robb Stark was was the best character. Didn't deserve his death. I almost stopped watching when he died. Well, Rybo for $4.99. Robb wanted to get laid.
He absolutely did not deserve to suffer. However, the repercussions of his actions, that's what the Red Wedding is. It's so brilliantly done.
He broke his word to an overly proud house with an overly proud lord with the fucking giant chip on his shoulder. Plus, there's a fucking 1,000 phrase out there. And the great payback is supposed to be their line gets wiped out. And which should be impossible with how many phrase there are. But it's being set up. Not that you'll ever, I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything because they'll never finish the book. But he's setting up with multiple sects of the phrase that they're all going to fucking kill each other. They're all going to fucking die, which we'll never get that payback. That's the problem with the blue balls of fucking George R. Martin is like, we're still waiting for payback for the Red Wedding. There's so much payback we're waiting for that he decided to not deliver in 2 fucking books. That's kind of a pisser. I don't know if you get that kind of satisfaction in this story. We'll find out, but Robb definitely fucked up.
I've seen a lot of like little fan cam edits, like superimposing Robb and Jace, like back and forth. So yeah. Like when he's sitting there, specifically of when he's sitting there, like after he finds out that Ned is dead and all the shit's happened, and he's like crying, and Catelyn comes over, comparing to the scene when Catelyn or with Jason Rhaenyra, like all that stuff.
Well, and think about like when Catelyn, it's one of the greatest scenes when she says, "We will kill them all."
Yeah.
Like, and then you're like, oh, she dead. She can't do that now. But she can in the book, but they decide to fucking leave it out.
Yep. Man, that season 4 finale, I was expecting so many different things, including Stoneheart to arrive. That's where it died for me. Season 4, episode 10.
It would have rocked the world, dude. It would have, like, you see it.
Oh, people would have loved it. It was a
corpse,
mistake.
Catelyn. And at first you're all, yeah, she could go get some vengeance. And then you find out, oh, she's horrifying. Evil. She's horrifying. Yes. Olivia said she wanted to keep more Alicent sex scenes, but Ryan didn't because they were not learning more about her character. Well, I think, getting to see her boobs, you get to learn a lot more about somebody's character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Judge not by the color of your skin, but the shape of your areolas.
She's
I
definitely
believe that Martin Luther King Jr. said that.
It's one of the less famous speeches.
Sure, it wasn't Malcolm X. No, it was Martin Luther King.
I'm pretty sure it was Martin Luther King. He was like, I think it was a conversation with one of those hookers. But yes.
Love you, Ryan. I love you.
Thank you.
Question for Shad. Shad, come back. I know you're still listening. Has Twilight finally been supplanted as the worst love story of all time by The Acolyte?
Where's the love in The Acolyte?
Where's the love in Twilight?
I was about to say, what's the love story? Is it the sisters?
X-23 and Ocean.
Oh,
That's
right.
True, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
90% highlighted evil characters is why episode 2 got 7 out of 10, says Slade Hope for $2.
Wait, what does that mean? 90% highlighted evil characters?
Is that good? I mean, like, I think that
Because there wasn't enough look on good characters or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's a story.
I thought they definitely, Kristen Cole, who's always been a dick, became like full-blown evil bad guy. Like, he's a bad guy. Alicent became an evil queen this episode, but I think you took Otto and you're like, he's bad, but not as bad as them. Like, he's
Well,
just.
I hate a lot of things about Otto. I hate how he's willing to use his family the way that he does and manipulate everybody. I hate a lot of that.
But he's
shit.
seriously, for a Westeros, he's got
yeah.
a line that will not cross, which is pretty. I mean, come on, that's practically makes you a saint in Westeros.
I mean, the thing about it is with a lot of these fucking characters, they do the whole pragmatic moving people around the board as if they're so smart as to manipulate the whole world without realizing, emotionally speaking, one wrong decision in one wrong place because you did not raise these people properly will destroy everything. It's like that we're essentially summarizing Tywin as a character. His whole failure was how shit of a dad he was in the aspect of loving his children. And one of them kills him. The other one's like sabotaging everything through being a shit mother herself. Another one doesn't want the role that Tywin keeps setting up for him. You know, like some of the greatest scenes in Game of Thrones are him telling them all what to do and how to do it because they're all so fucking terrible without him guiding them. And you never have that moment for him where he's like, man, maybe some of this is my fault. And it goes the same for a lot of these characters. And Otto's definitely one of them, but they're moving people around the board, thinking themselves so fucking smart. And then when it comes down to it, realize like, wow, if I had just actually loved you, cared for you, we'd probably be better off.
Yep. Well, yeah, Tyrion. Tay Troll for $5 says Kristen Cole is aging properly. Remember that. Oh, you missed a word here. Woke white women age like milk, but I fixed it for you. Thank you for the $5. Josh M for $4.99. Why only 8 episodes this season, though? I'll tell you why. Ryan, what were the ratings for the first episode?
Well, they were down a little bit from season 1. Down a little bit from season 1. Still, I mean, really good for any streaming debut, or any streaming first episode premiere. But yeah, they were not as big as the first season. I was a little surprised by that.
I tell you why. It took 2 years.
Yeah, it did take 2 years between.
Can't take 2 years between these series. So the reason they're down to 8 episodes is so it's not going to be a year, but it's not going to be 2 years. It's not going to be as long. It'll be like a year and a half. And then they'll fill it with Dunk and Egg, which they're filming right now. But yeah, they clipped off those last 2 episodes because, for one, they had to wait for renewal too. Then there was the strike and all that bullshit, but they were able to avoid that. But like, you can't take 2 years between these fucking shows, especially with younger kids in it. Like, it's ridiculous, right? Stranger Things.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Like 11's going to be in a fucking walker in season 5.
I love the memes like that. Getting married and shit and having like start up a family or whatever. Is she still like a child in the show?
Yeah.
That specifically is the problem with this next season is they can't do a time jump. Like all the other ones, they can do a time jump and you can somewhat justify how they did age up. And it's like believable or whatever. For this one, I don't understand how they could do a time jump without some like crazy shit going on in between.
Dude, you guys probably don't watch the show, but Yellowstone like took a break or something, and they had this kid named Jackie, and he was like a little kid. And then like it's supposed to be 6 months later in the show, and he's fucking like 6'3". He's lost all his baby fat, and they had to acknowledge it. They're like, Jesus Christ.
It's like God, what is when they do El Camino and what's his fucking name?
God, Jesse Plemons, yeah.
He's so fat. He's so fucking fat, and they never even try to address it.
They don't
like
even get
anything. Yeah, like they could have been like, he'd been like, I don't know, Jesse, I got stung by a bee.
Yeah,
they could have done something.
I was like sad eating. I was depressed. So
have his uncle be like, you better fucking lose that weight before the finale of because this is set between this is how it's totally gonna work in story, trust me. But
and the thing is later he lost all the fucking weight. But
he did. Well, and that's the thing. You could tell they were gonna fucking recast or not have it because Jesse Plemons made a huge impact on Breaking Bad. People found him to be so effective and creepy, right? He's just had himself a real good career. He does good in everything he does.
Well, he's a good, creepy, weird actor. He's very good and very like.
Well, did you see Fargo season 2? Either of you?
No.
I probably recommend it. I think you'd like it, Gary. He plays. I think that's where he met. Why am I forgetting her name? Spider-Man 2, Mary Jane. Spider-Man, Mary Jane.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. Yeah, I think he met her there, and that's why they're together. Their story's premise is that she runs over someone by accident, kills Oh no, she doesn't kill him, but he's like a lower rank member of a family of mob type people. And so Jesse Plemons is the friendly butcher of the town. And when she tells him she's done that, she shows him she put him in a freezer. She didn't know what to do, but he's not dead. And then Jesse Plemons has to kill him himself because he's obviously like going nuts trying to kill it. And then so basically it's the friendly local town butcher has to hide that he's killed like a significant mob boss member of the family. Some good stuff that season. I probably recommend it. Fargo season 3 is where I was just like, oh, I think it's done now. And then I've heard 4 is a disaster.
Is Brian Fuller even involved in it anymore? He
no.
Last...
You saw season 1 though, right?
Yeah, I saw season 1. It's good.
Season 1 was really good.
Yeah.
Well, really solid anyway.
No,
Billy Bob Thornton was fucking great in it.
Yep. Brian Fuller is like he's like Frank Darabont. Like he just can't get along with people, but he's a really great writer. But he just can't get along with people for some reason. He was going to do a Friday 13th prequel. Went full like. I don't know how far they got in the production, but it got nixed. He got taken off of Star Trek. He was supposed to do Star Trek, and he got taken off, and Kurtzman took over and turned it to shit. Jake Milano for $19.99. I think you guys might be overlooking the third best episode of the series here because Eric was in armor. Most shows would have had the twin pop in with zero explanation as opposed to a decent one. 8 out of 10 amazing scenes locked in. I disagree on that because I think the explanation in the book is better.
Yeah, there's a couple of factors at play here. One, they have a blueprint to use, and from the sounds of it, they had their answer from the source that they could have used. Second, we've got to stop doing the thing of like, I give the score more because it's surrounded by worse things. You know,
it's like the only good thing in the desert right now.
Yeah. Well, and I also just think that like the show deserves more respect than that. We shouldn't go like, well, at least it's better than something awful. It's like, no, it's good. It is good, and it does loads of things really well. And I think that that's partly why this strike's a bit weird. It's like they're better than this. They usually do better than this.
Yeah, and we're just talking about a few scenes that knocked it down a little bit because honestly, if they just left those scenes out, it would have been an 8 out of 10 for me. But you know, like the White Worm seeing him on the shore, we don't know for sure because they don't show it. They might talk about it later. Maybe she arrived too late. But the fight itself was better than the book, like way better.
And it's hard to know too, like I feel like the implication is that there's like in that sequence, I feel like the implication is, hey, there's a ship like right there, but I don't know if when you go around that corner, there's a little fucking dock area or shit. I don't know, right? I guess we'd have to actually see what it looks like.
It's a collection of things. It's not just that she spots it. Like, because even Shad said, right? It's like, oh, it makes some sense. She's going on a boat and he's coming off a boat. It's like those two things can happen at so many different times, but also he should be protecting at all costs his face until he gets up to the castle.
Well, so basically how they did it in the book was he used fucking normal like beggar's clothes and shit to get there. As soon as he gets off the boat, I believe when he gets like in the town, like the little
puts
like,
on his armor.
It is, he puts on his armor there because there's really his goal is to hide in plain sight, right? And that's what they do in the book. So I don't know if the implication is he walked directly off the ship with his armor on. That would be retarded if that is actually like what they're implying. But
yeah, well, you know, like his hair, if he undid it and then put it all forward in front of his face, even that, because it'll make the average person be like, oh, you don't look at all like the person that you are a twin of.
Well, most kings and most small folk wouldn't recognize none of them would recognize a king's guard without their armor on. None of them would.
Well, so that was actually the thing, right? It's that, and then it's also protect your face, because if any one of the dock people, any random, let's just say a King's Guard happens to be walking down on patrol of some kind, just get up there and then sort yourself out so that you're visible. That's like the whole point. But him wearing the King's Guard, it's really, they did this in season 1, by the way.
Well, he can't get into the...
No, not get into, get up to. Hide behind a rock, like I said. Something where he's closer. He was not close enough. He was a part of the people coming off the ship.
Yeah, I mean, like, ultimately, the only person that, like, the only fucking person that he could run into that would be a problem is his brother, or someone who literally just came from seeing his brother, which in this case was Mysaria. Like, that's it.
Which was a combination. But do you remember in season 1, it was also episode 9, They make a big point of when collecting Aegon, they need to not wear their cloaks. They need to go in anonymous, and that
Mhm.
blah blah blah. When he's like escorting Rhaenys, he has this whole outfit on. I remember being like, ugh. Makes him so conspicuous. When he's trying to get her out of there safely, and it's like, you're a king's god, man.
Yeah, just put her under your coat.
Yeah, like Obi-Wan.
Like Obi-Wan. Kristen Cole or Maximus from Fallout, which is the bigger successful fuck up?
At least it makes sense for Cole.
Yeah.
Kristen Cole's like actually good at shit. Like
He's also
Yeah.
he's a really good fighter.
yeah.
And let's be honest, like he was surprised,
Good at
but
fucking queens.
you can kind of see it coming. Like, who would Aegon choose to be his hand? Like, probably someone he thinks is nice and ruthless, willing to take action, and is strong.
Who trained him from when he was a kid too.
Yeah, so I could totally buy that you would pick him.
Although
could
they
tell it
look
was-
like
it was
they're
a
the same
whim.
age.
It was totally a whim too. He was just like, "Hey, you could be it." He was like, "Wait, what?"
And twins. Sorry, Louis C. Thank you for the $5. This one is hail to Ryan KKK, $2 Australian from Crispy GT.
Thank you.
Ryan just nods. Joining hours into the stream, so looking forward to being right or wrong, but I did not like this episode. Seemed weird downturn in the show on my fronts, or on your front.
Well,
It's a mixed bag, like MauLer said.
it's a mixed bag.
A lot of people liked it. A lot of people liked it, though. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Hate to sound silly, but which twin actually won, and which twin actually won, and are we sure?
Oh, my
They both-
impression was the Rhaenyra. Oh, so yeah, Rhaenyra twin won because he said "Your Grace."
Yep.
He wouldn't
Yeah.
have said you're
So-
great. The other one would have said
Yep.
you're grace. Yeah.
Great show, you guys. Still loving this show. I am too. Cinema Gulp for $2. Leo V for $5. For someone that didn't read the book, who is Otto talking about? The son he will go see in exile? Does that person play an important role later? Well, Otto's in exile.
No need to talk about that.
So Otto is now in exile. He said that himself in the show.
But he's kind of doing it to himself, not
Yes.
like Aegon's like, get the fuck
Yeah,
out of
he
here, Grandpa.
could hang around, but it's
he wants.
humiliating, isn't it?
Yeah.
He,
It would be.
he thinks he'll be better used elsewhere, trying to shore up support for different things.
Yep.
But the son that was mentioned was Daron, and maybe we'll see him this season. I don't know. He's got a really cool dragon.
Yep. Cinema Gulp for $5. Maybe Aemon's one eye keeps him from seeing the age of the Lady of Night. It's depth perception. I think you can still see.
Or I should keep that goddamn patch on. He looks like a freak. That eye doesn't close.
I like it.
Just stays
like
open.
I like that. That was cool. What is a blonde doing? What is a blonde doing a handstand? A brunette with bad breath. Charitard
Nice.
for $5. Thank you. 2% right for $20. Totally off topic, but Gary, when are you going to have Mr. Grizzy as a guest on FNT? Maybe someday. I love Grizzy. Grizzy's funny. Makes some great reaction videos. Man, I don't know what's harder, sitting through the Acolyte or sitting through the Acolyte. What the hell was that? Reaction videos of people who liked it. That I think that would be harder.
I don't watch a single one of that. I cannot watch that.
No. Slumdog for $19.99. First ever super chat. All right. Hit the right button. Thanks for all you guys do. The fact that we get to discuss pros and cons instead of wading through shit is great. Was pretty standard TV nerd conversation 10 years ago, but a treat now. It is. That is true. It's a treat for us, believe me. My favorite part was when Damon looks at Rhaenyra like, oops, I did it again. Says Hernandez Professional Accounting 305. Bone Jangles for $20. Aren't all the Greens brothers and sisters and half brothers and sisters? At least the Blacks are aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, and cousins.
An upgrade, to say the least.
Hatfields and the McCoys. Slain Hope for $2. I call bullshit on Mouse not knowing Aemon was a John. JM for $5. Bro, I'm drunk on the toilet at my best friend's birthday party. Please don't spoil House of the Dragons. Thank you. Well, go back to your party.
Go watch this
Yeah.
stream if you don't want to be spoiled on
Yeah.
the
Go back
episode that
to-
just aired.
Thanks for watching and super chatting. But yeah, you can just watch us. Don't put on the closed captions. Don't read the chat. Or I don't know, go talk to a girl at the party.
When you get off the toilet.
When you get off no, do it right now, because that way you'll know if she's the right one. If you guys can handle each other in the bathroom, that's Marion material right there. Am I right, guys? Aaron Pipes for $5. Dumbest thing ever. You do a sword and sorcerer TV series and
take out
virtually all the magic. Dumber and Dumber were incompetent. That conned many. You are correct. It was never supposed to be take away the magic. It was the magic is earned and has great consequence. So it's just not like you can't just throw
it's
sparks.
Not nearly as magical like a fantasy series as a lot of other ones out there.
No.
At all. Like, there's magic in the world, but it has meaning. It has value. It's not just trotted out at a whim. But
they made countless fucking errors.
They did
by the end, and it's not. I don't know. In retrospect, it's just like, is there anything that could be done about it? Remake the series someday, maybe.
Dude, the one god in A Song of Ice and Fire we know is probably real is R'hllor. like,
there's fire shit happens. Like,
yeah,
it's real.
It's definitely R'hllor. We know the seven are bullshit, are total bullshit. And probably, well,
obviously, like there is some sort of force for the old gods as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Whether that's actually like a god or some other like ancient, like supernatural force that is still kind of controlling things.
Yeah, some hive mind consciousness with the
werewoods.
With the werewoods. Yeah. But I think I'm blanking on his name now. What's the Ironborn's god? Why am I blanking on it?
The drowned god?
The drowned god, yeah. He's bullshit too.
Yeah. They're fucking like how many of their people just die like all the fucking time from their ceremonies, you know what I mean? Like they literally kill you. And if you come back to life, you come back.
The Ironborn are fucking great.
They're crazy.
They're Viking pirates and they're fucking brutal. They've got one smart guy and they just fucking hate his guts because all he does is read books and know things. They fucking hate him. They don't respect him. It's so funny. I fucking love the Ironborn. They're crazy. It's more honorable to steal shit than to buy it. There's the iron price and the gold price.
Necklace. Oh, you didn't pay the iron price. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
No, that's fucking great. They are great. Victorian Greyjoy, who's like a motherfucker. Like his wife gets raped and he kills her because he's a piece of shit, right? Then he like spends the whole book feeling bad about it, but doesn't know how to feel bad about it. Like, and it comes out he's such a weird, great character. Dumbest thing ever. Oh, I read that one. JM for $5. This last one of the night. No, wait. Second last one. I'm getting off the John and back to the bottle. Atta boy. I can barely hear y'all, but thanks for talking about Fargo instead of House of the Dragon.
Next time you see a stream that says Fargo review, tune in and we'll talk about House of the Dragon.
I hope you had a good shit. I hope it wasn't a drunk shit. Those are bad. I remember those. I like to imagine Kristen Cole was tempted to say one of the best banging your mom jokes ever when Aegon asked him about where he was. There's so many opportunities there. There really is. Cole Randall, thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you for staying this long. You didn't have to do that. Spent another 3 hours talking about the show. And it was a pretty good episode. I liked it. And we'll be back next week. MauLer, what do you got coming up?
Acolyte stuff and sleep. Yeah, just the usual, folks. You know what's going on. We're at a high tempo time for just talking about TV show episodes coming out.
Yeah, there's 2 shows out that we're talking about at the same time. The Night King for $5 says, I think the Hugh scenes were just placed wrong in the edit. They broke the pace more than anything. Granted, I wouldn't know where to put them. What that tells me is they're going to be introducing these characters maybe a little earlier than we thought.
Yep.
And so I think they really want to have you know them a little bit before that happens.
I already love the scene wasn't super necessary, but like what they've done with Hugh, I love. I love that they're doing this. So I thought, okay. All right. Good.
And I want to know if Alan and Adam are fucking Corliss's kids. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
And if they are, how can they do some of the things they do later?
Mhm.
You know?
Oh, by the way, the scene where Otto was like yelling at Aegon, one of the thoughts I was having straight away was close the fucking door, close the door, close the door. And then he did. And I was like, oh, good.
Yeah. But that was even better, right, MauLer? Because he did it later, which means he was totally fucking losing his cool and being so out of character. Like, because Otto would the first thing he would do is close the door and then breathe and then have his suppressed rage. That was such a good scene, dude. Damn, that was good. Ryan, what do you got coming up?
Videos and shit. I'll be on with MauLer to review The Acolyte. So that'll be fun. Episode 5.
Yeah, now we're in uncharted waters. Nobody knows what's happening in 5, 6, 7, 8.
Nobody knows.
It'll probably be bad. That's
it'll probably be really fucking bad.
To go out on a limb there.
You sure you want to put money on that? You crazy? Come on now,
dude. When Amanda Stenberg made that video, I was surprised. I was like, that's not AI. I thought it was AI. I thought somebody was having to go.
Do you ever wonder if there's an Otto Hightower equivalent at Disney who's like, you fucking idiot, why did you put that video out? We were carrying favor. Everyone thought they were racist, but now you've put this retarded video. You made us all look like clowns.
You know what? That guy wouldn't last.
Kathleen Kennedy just walks up to Bob Iger, like makes him take the hand pin off, like throws it to Bob Chapek. Yeah.
Throws it to Pablo Hidalgo. Fucking. All right.
Dave Filoni.
Thanks to the Nerdrotics. Thanks to everyone who joined us tonight. I love doing these. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat and donation. We help. We appreciate that. Words are now going bye-bye for me because it's late. So you help keep the lights on. Thanks to all the lurkers. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Later.